Hello again, friends! And you are our friends, and welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru right here at the beginning of what promises to be a week from hell for people who talk about professional wrestling, like perhaps myself and Mr. Jim Cornette. But of course, this is Jim Cornette's Drive Thru. We have questions, maybe a review or two, but lots and lots of questions sent to this man, who I'm going to ask questions to. I'm your host, the great Brian Last, and here he is, Mr. Jim Cornette.
What are you so goddamn cheerful about?
Well, it's a beautiful day. Sun is out.
Where are you at?
I'm over here now.
I'm here. It's me. Where you're in New Jersey? There's sun in New Jersey. I didn't think there was sun in New Jersey at any point in time. The temperature fluctuates, but you can't see the sunlight through all the smog and the fog and the pollution.
You have to get away from the turnpike.
You know, I've never understood why they call it a turnpike. It's almost impossible to make a turn unless you're in a pike position. Maybe that's it. It's like, why do you park in your driveway, but you drive on the parkway? How did we get started with it? Yeah, I asked you why you were so goddamn cheerful.
The freeway isn't free.
It's certainly not. And they charge us to cross the river now here in the metropolitan Louisville area. If you go across the Ohio River, it's $4 a pop each way. It's ridiculous. Used to be, there didn't used to be a bridge there in some cases, so it would have cost you more than $4 to cross where I go when I have to go see Hotchkiss. But they did. The other bridges used to be free. Then they build a bunch of new bridges and charge us for them. What kind of government is that? What are you so goddamn cheerful for?
Well, I think I said the sun is out. I feel good. It's a wonderful day here in the manor and getting a lot of things done.
I was waiting for spring. We made our own spring. That's another reason why I'm grumpy. I feel like I've been beaten with a sack of wet hammers. Because remember last show we did, I said, well, it's been warm, but now it's cold again. Well, Sunday it was supposed to be sunny at least and a high of 50, but it took until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon for it to get to 50 because it was 20-something degrees that morning. But I had the Monroes come over and I joined them. I made my own spring. I was going to get out there and work in the yard and do good, honest labor and toil in the soil.
Plow the fields and farm and
field and toil the soil should be a pay-per-view somewhere in Iowa or Kansas or something. But anyway, toil the soil for return of the fucking thrashing machine. Anyway, so the Monroes come over because I've mentioned that we've cleaned out my neighbor's creek. So that help our drainage here on everybody's property along that part of the area. But she's also right to the north of the creek. She's got a natural retention basin. It's been worn this way by the water that rushes off the other side down the hill of my property. And it used to be a nice little area under the sycamore trees there, and there's an ash tree and some other foliage, and it's a small little, it's a pond-shaped thing, but it doesn't usually hold water. It's about 30 feet across, 30 feet long. And it used to be a nice little shady area there. And when the water rushes off, it would collect in this area and then slowly seep through to join the creek and go downstream to live a life of religious freedom like water does in a creek. But it's all clogged up with leaves and muck and limbs and things that have fallen there. And to be honest, there's about a 50-foot section of the fence row there on my fence across from her property where I've let it grow up so that I didn't have to look at a big hole in the ground full of leaves. But I get to Monroe's, I say, clean those leaves out. Let's make this thing deeper so it'll hold more water because it's filling up and it's running over and adding to the problem of her creek on her side. So while they're bagging all these leaves up and raking all that muck out, I took my handy clippers, the loppers, I call them, because you can lop off a small tree limb with these things. They're power ratcheted. So even if I don't have the superstar Billy Graham or Scott Steiners type of fucking pump going on there, I can get some mechanical leverage on it And I spent about 3 hours down there cutting things, grapevines and bushes that had grown up and underbrush off the fence row and exposing the nice trees and shrubbery that laid underneath all that. And so it's a nice manicured area. And after 3 hours, everything on my body hurt. And I came in the house and took a shower and laid down flat and talked like this for a while.
Like Terry Funk?
Like Terry Funk. Actually, probably Terry Funk. He would have gone through that whole thing by himself. He wouldn't have needed the Monroes. He's a tough son of a gun. I was more like whimpering. But anyway, I'm still a little sore, but we got everything opened up. That we even found a hole in the bottom of the pond there that we believe we stuck a rake handle all the way in it and didn't hit bottom. So that apparently is where now that water's supposed to drain into the creek down the hill. And also, you'll be happy to know at least it's spring. The bullfrogs are out. Do you have the bullfrogs out yet up there in Jersey?
I have not seen any bullfrogs. We have seen turkeys just recently, but not bullfrogs.
Well, turkeys don't live in the water, so we didn't see any turkeys. But we saw a giant bullfrog and a turtle, a little box turtle. He's very cute, and he was all covered up in the mud. But once we uncovered him, well, he just started walking off. And that was 2 days ago. I bet you he's 25 feet away by now. Did you like to play with turtles when you were a kid?
Not particularly. I wasn't a big fan of holding and bothering animals.
What? You're not bothering them?
It's absolutely bothering them. You think they're saying, I wish someone would just grab me by my shell and pick me up. No, they're saying, leave me alone so I could slowly sit over here and eat dirt or whatever they do.
Well, no. See, when I was a kid, I'd go out in the yard. I'd take a shoebox.
Oh, you capture them. Oh, you keep them captive. That's
no.
For them.
That was easier to transport them without injuring the poor little things. I'd put them in the shoebox and I'd bring them in, and I'd sit and play with them in the kitchen floor while my mom was doing the dishes or whatever, Mama Cornette. And then when they were finished walking around and I was finished associating with them, I'd put them back in a shoebox and take them back out in the yard and let them go in the general area in which that I found them to begin with. And then you have turtle races. It takes up a good afternoon. This was back before cable TV, son.
Who would win the race? You were the turtle.
I didn't race the turtles. The turtles raced each other, and I called the winner. I wasn't going to race turtles, for heaven's sake. You might get hurt doing something like that.
You called the winner. What did you do? Did you run to the other side and just wait there for them to, for one of them to...
It's a narrow kitchen. It's a narrow kitchen. I'd start them off at like the bottom of the stool and see if they get all the way to the sink.
Your mother approved of any of this? Turtle races in the kitchen?
I could have been out being a juvenile delinquent, going all about the streets at odd hours of night and engaging in gang activities. Instead, I was nice little 7-year-old kid sitting at home in the kitchen floor playing with the turtles. She didn't want the bullfrogs in the house, though. She wasn't squeamish about bullfrogs, but they're hard to catch once they take off, and they will piss on things. So we had to play with... The farthest the bullfrogs could come was the garage or the back porch.
It's amazing when my show turns into the 4-H club. What is this?
What is 4-H club here? The Triple H fan club? Now we're the 4-H's. I'm just trying to get some things done now that it's springtime around here. Get the Monroe brothers back in the yard, beautify the neighborhood. We got big activity coming up this weekend. We're not going to get anything done. This is the biggest weekend in all of professional wrestling. I mean, they're talking about it. Every news outlet, every website, every organization, every individual, Twitter has lit up about this. This weekend is the biggest weekend for all of us involved in the wrestling industry, because on Saturday, April 2nd at noon Eastern, the brand new Jim Cornette action figures from Figures Toy Company go on sale, and everybody's on fire about it. And also, there's some shows this weekend that we're going to talk about later on here on the program, but also everybody's lit up. They've been going to JimCornette.com. seeing the banners with pictures of these incredible brand new figures, the Jim Cornette commentator playset with me in my announcer clothes, the beautiful black blazer, the blue pants, the wonderful accents, also coming in a display box with announcer's desk, 2 chairs, 2 microphones, 2 monitors, and 2 headsets. I can call your action in your home, whatever action takes place in your home, I can call it. And each playset can be personally autographed at JimCornette.com. Again, that's Saturday, April 2nd at noon Eastern Time. And if that wasn't enough, Brian, people are turning cartwheels in the streets about the Jim Cornette bloody variant commemorating the infamous incident when Heyman surprised me, got the drop on me, cracked me over the head with his phone. I'm a blood-soaked mess in my white jacket, the same suit, the white jacket, the red tie, whole 9 yards, with brand new glasses that no longer make me look like Drew Carey, a microphone, and a tennis racket, ladies and gentlemen. Tennis racket comes with the new bloody variant. Of course, it will fit all of my variants because I am a very variant individual with a jack-off right hand. So the microphone, the tennis racket, they'll both fit in all the figures. But nevertheless, there's going to be 1,200 signed bloody variants available at JimCornette.com. There are going to be 1,500 of these signed commentator play sets available at JimCornette.com. And the feather bottoms are on the case for incredible service and delivery. Saturday, April 2nd, noon Eastern. And obviously, we want to thank the folks at Figures Toy Company for the upgrades on this, the new glasses, the racket, the variants. The play set is just fantastic. And you can sit the box on it. Everything fits in the box, so you can sit it on the shelf and then take it down whenever I need to announce something or make a big match in the Action Figure Wrestling Federation, whatever the case may be. Brian, I know you've already ordered 3.
Well, 4 if we count the one I'm going to put on eBay. Jack up the prices.
YouTube?
Not YouTube, eBay.
YouTube. I caught that one guy.
I remember that.
Yeah. Like 2 years ago when we first put the Christmas variant on sale, and he before I'd even filled the order, he was selling them on YouTube. Now you've got me doing it. God damn it. He was selling them on eBay for like 5 times what he paid for them and saying, yeah, these will ship out. Like he gave me like another 3 or 4 weeks to fill the order. These will ship out after such and such. Somebody called my attention to it, so I wrote him a little email and said, nice try, motherfucker, refunded his money. And after the sale had been finalized on eBay, so then he had to do some splaining to the people he'd sold shit to that he didn't even have yet. But that's the kind of cutthroat business practices that take place, Brian, when you've got sought-after merchandise like this. And again, thank you to the Figures Toy Company for producing these fine items. They're going to have some available at their Wrestling Superstore also, but the only way, obviously, to get them signed, since I don't leave the house anymore, JimCornette.com. The inventory feature is going to be working, so we're going to be tracking these. Instead of me guesstimating like I used to have to, the feather bottoms have this all computerized. Oh, and I got to mention one thing real quick. Where's the notes? Australia and New Zealand. Remember, we last left those fine countries still not able to get certain types of mail from the United States. Then they opened it up to some other kind of mail, but they were backlogged and they've had constant issues. So we still had, I think, 22 or 23 people's order from Christmas that we were holding for them until all the mail got opened up and the backlog got cleared. But Hotchkiss did some research. He said, well, we could ask it because we can send it. I can't remember, was it Priority Express, whatever? And he was another $20-something or whatever. So, well, is that all it is? Let's clear this out. So anyway, as a belated Christmas present, all those people have been waiting fucking 6 months. We sent all of their packages that we've been holding at expedited shipping at our expense, so they got their stuff. Or if they don't have it, they should have it momentarily. However, we're still getting conflicting reports on the mail. They're taking this kind of mail, but not that kind of mail, and it's a giant mess. So for Australia and New Zealand, for this sale this weekend, you guys are cut off. We're not going to make sales to Australia or New Zealand because it's iffy on whether we can get you the merchandise properly. However, before you cuss me and never listen to me again, we are saving several boxes of each figure to make it fair. We got to make it fair, Brian. Saving extra boxes of each figure specifically for the fans in Australia and New Zealand when we know that this mail business is all straightened out. Then we're going to announce that you can email us if you want from Australia, New Zealand, one of these figures. We're going to have some held back just for you. And don't try to pull anything if you miss out and you're from Cleveland, because we have ways of the feather bottoms know where everybody is. They keep a good eye on everybody. So anyway, we're not going to fuck you, Australia and New Zealand. It's just going to take a little while, but we're saving stuff for you. Everybody else, you better jump in where you can here this weekend. In the midst of some of these other independent wrestling programs that are going to be going on this weekend, just jump in on Saturday and JimCornette.com, get the figure. It may still take me a while to sell them all, but to sign them all. But otherwise, as we've mentioned, the feather bottoms have this thing running like a finely tuned machine. The turnaround time now is down to days. Anyway, Brian, this is your program.
It is my program, and we have days and days of questions.
Bullfrogs and turtles and feather bottoms and figures. What do you got to talk about?
We have lots of questions that the listeners want to hear talked about, that they've sent in questions about. So before we get there, let's start with some sad news in wrestling. Did you watch Raw this week?
Yes. I didn't watch all of it, obviously. But holy. It's a talk program. Raw is monologues, as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago. And now I'm doing it, and I understand why that everybody's doing it. They're skipping the matches just to get to the interviews, because that's the only place that any major news is really ever imparted. But did this seem like the go home Raw for WrestleMania as it would have been perpetrated in years gone by? Or did this seem like the countdown show for what they used to call it on the Barker channel, the preview show for the pay-per-view, where everybody just talks about what they're going to do and nobody actually does anything? Did they time this WrestleMania pre-promotion out well in their timeline to where they peaked at an absolute frenzy, or did they fizzle out and peak at the popcorn fart? That's the question I'm asking you.
Other than the fact that they kept yelling that it was WrestleMania Raw, Raw WrestleMania, and they had 4 announcers instead of 3, you would think it was just a regular Raw. Other than the fact that there were some people from SmackDown here, it didn't have any special feeling. It didn't feel like it was going into WrestleMania. There are matches that'll be good. Usually there's a surprise or two. Probably a really, really dumb moment or two we could all get mad about or laugh about. But other than that, this is the most stupendously underwhelming WrestleMania in history by far. And this go-home show, there were moments that were fine, but overall it did nothing to make me really want to see this pay-per-view event. 2 nights. Premium live event.
Yeah.
2 nights of it.
Well, now, are they even calling WrestleMania a premium live event, or haven't we already established that it's the premium of all the premiums? It's going from the what it used to be the granddaddy of all granddaddies to the premium of all premiums, and now it's a premium event. Brock Lesnar, happy Brock. He's stealing Corbin's gimmick. You know, here's the thing, and I'll make mention of this, and then we'll move on, because Brock Lesnar did a good interview for Brock Lesnar at the start of the show. It didn't go too long, and he didn't twist in the wind. He played along with the what thing well, and he's kind of you can tell he's kind of having fun now because there's not a lot of pressure because he knows that he's bulletproof and he's over and whatever the fuck. He's not going to let these people worry him, right? So it was a decent promo, but let's come back to that when we talk about the Roman Reigns segment. They did Miz and Mysterio's business and blah, 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 or whatever. Let's stop again on the next person I was actually interested by, which was Seth Rollins and Vince McMahon's meeting. After, Rollins went on a rampage and did nearly $85 worth of damage to the ringside area last week, he was summoned to the principal's office by kindly Uncle Vince at Titan Tower. And he's supposed to be there at 9 o'clock Monday morning. But boy, he gets there at 7 o'clock because he wants to be bright and early. And immediately, did you notice within the first 10 seconds of this clip, Brian, we were told not to take any of this seriously and nothing important was going to be imparted to us when they played the cheesy comedy music with the overview of Titan Tower?
Yeah.
What
I don't know why they picked that music.
Maybe Vince picked it because it was his favorite soundbite from Ozzy and Harriet. I don't know, but it was like a situation comedy music from the 70s to establish that Seth Rollins, allegedly a main event WWE superstar, has been called into Titan Tower by the owner of the whole shebang, the whole shooting match, as they used to say, the whole 9 yards. Vince McMahon. So we got the comedy music, and he comes into Vince's outer office. That's where actually they've renovated in the last 25 years. Unless I had a brain tumor, or maybe it's the PTSD from living and working under the evil empire. But when you open those doors right there, used to go through, it's just a small area. They have put a receptionist desk in there. And then you go through those other doors. That's where old Beth Zaza used to sit, Vince's secretary and personal assistant. They've renovated a little bit, it looks like. It looks a little more closed in, a little more claustrophobic, but Vince still has the corner office. They didn't see his Titanic view of the skyline of Stamford in this shot, probably because the light would have screwed with their shot, but he does have the dinosaur jowls on the wall. Anyway, the interior decorating was more interesting than what happened here. Seth Rollins goes in doing this. Was this the most over the top he's ever been with whatever this gimmick is supposed to be?
I think so, because every time I think, oh boy, last week he was ridiculous, he ups it and it gets more ridiculous and more cringy and not good.
And I mean, at this point, it's obvious that they want him for some reason acting this way. They obviously want this, because unless this was something he was being specifically encouraged to do, somebody on take one would have shut that shit down. So they think this is good. And this is going to help him out in some kind of way. And he's laughing and he's cackling and he's skipping about. Vince is ignoring him and speaking gruffly. And why? I wrote, why he acting this way? That's shorthand. But it's, And finally, Vince says, remember this whole saga, and they reminded us with the video that Seth Rollins has gone through fighting Owens and doing this and that to get on WrestleMania, and they wanted to be a tag team champion and blah, blah, blah. And after all this, the resolution of this thing is Vince says, well, if you want to be on WrestleMania, why didn't you just ask me? Why'd you jump through all these hoops? And I'm expecting him then to give Seth some kind of constructive hoop to jump through in order to get no, you've got a match. Well, first he said, did you catch the part where, I swear to God, Vince, as we've said, is getting hard to work with, like these sit-down things in his office with Austin Theory, because you can't tell. He's mumbling and things don't come out exactly as you can imagine like they're supposed to. He's trying to feed people lines, but they're dropping them, right? Because it's odd. Well, in this case, he actually fed Seth a fucking perfect line, and Seth bumbled it. Vince says, this WrestleMania is different because it's what? And you can tell Seth's supposed to say stupendous, but he says, well, it's 2 nights, and it's the most stupendous thing. And this just went back and forth. It was like watching C-SPAN with a local fucking politician being interrogated by a Senate committee about the fucking drainage. I'm the only one who can make drainage sound entertaining. So Vince tells Seth he's going to get his own main event at WrestleMania versus an opponent that he will know when he sees him, or however he phrased it.
Or if he turns on the computer.
After all this, that's it. There's no. This was agonizing to watch because and then Rollins finds out he's on WrestleMania and just hops and jumps and cringes and does the Chuck Berry duck walk all around Vince's table and leaves. I don't know. This has made Seth Rollins, I mean, the way he's acting makes him look like an idiot anyway, but even if he was acting like his normal self, it makes him look like an idiot to have gone through all these things and then just be able to ask Vince, or just Vince just give him a match. Of course, he's a heel, so an element of pomposity and buffoonery can be expected, but what does this do for Cody? He's not coming in to right a wrong or to get even with, somebody that's done something to him or his family, or even something wrong in general that the people want to see that guy get his ass kicked for. He's not coming in to beat a dominant singles competitor, whether champion or just on a winning streak. Rollins has lost. That's the whole story of how he got to WrestleMania. He lost every time he fucking turned around.
And Cody's being handpicked by Vince?
And Cody's being handpicked by Vince to fight this fucking goofy loser. Why? Then wouldn't Cody be the heel if he's Vince's handpicked guy? Or is he a babyface because reasons?
He's a babyface night 1 probably, and maybe promo 1. But that'll probably turn pretty quickly. But here's the other thing. Do you automatically go to Cody? Everyone's been expecting it. They have to debut him at some point. WrestleMania is the place, or the Raw after, but I gotta think Cody wants WrestleMania too. But everyone knows this. Do you throw everyone off and have someone else as a surprise, and then Cody debuts in a different way? Because that's the other thing. If Cody beats him, he beats a goof. If he beats Cody, Cody's an asshole, but if he doesn't beat Cody, why did he go through all this? None of this makes any sense.
Or again, have we traced the root of this rumor that's been going on all along that it'll be Seth and Cody back past Uncle Dave for any corroboration? Or is this what everybody's saying because of that? Or is this what everybody's saying because the WWE has told so many people that on purpose that that's what they're saying? A lot of people saying it. And like you said, it's going to be something complete. It better be something completely different. You know what? I swear to God, I've got chills on my arm right now because I just had goosebumps thinking it's been almost 30 years. But remember, I said this, and actually it came back to haunt me. There was oh, God damn it. What did they call it? It was one of the early radio shows that WWF. Finkel was doing it.
Well, there was Radio WWF.
That might even have been at Radio W. Yeah, Radio
I got some of those
Europe,
tapes.
whatever. Yeah. And it was coming up on SummerSlam 93 with Luger and Yokozuna, and I predicted, well, I'll tell you this, if Luger don't win a title, he's going to look like a plate full of piss. And son of a bitch, he did. So 30 years later, I'm predicting this can't be it, but it may very well be. Who knows? But to get to whatever point they're getting to, this has done nobody involved any favors so far. Would you agree with that statement?
You know, Seth Rollins is kind of like the negative Brad Armstrong in the sense that they're both extremely talented in the ring, and Brad Armstrong never showed the personality in front of the camera that he had backstage. Seth Rollins is just showing nothing but whatever this personality in his head is, and it's awful, and he's a great talented worker, and I don't want to see him anymore. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of this act. I don't understand what it is. It's an act. And he is one of the most talented guys ever that I never want to hear do a promo ever again. I'm sorry. Make him a mute. Make him a mime. I really don't care. Just please stop this. This is terrible. And I like him as a wrestler. One of the best matches I ever saw live was him and Austin Aries at Ring of Honor at the Manhattan Center.
Yeah.
But I can't take this. This is terrible.
I said him and Davey Richards was a modern version of Flair and Steamboat in 2010, and 12 years later, he's a modern version of fucking Frank Gorshin. I don't know what's going on here. And by the way, can a mime memes? Can you mime a meme?
Could you mime a meme?
Could you mime a meme? That would be cool.
A meme could mime. Well, a mime could meme. But you mime a meme?
Can you mime a meme?
Depends what the meme is.
And then can a mime become a meme? Can you send out a meme of a mime?
Correct. Yes, you could do that.
What would it be meming or miming or mimicking? Anyway, so again, well, let's move on Raw. What in the flying French fried titty fuck was the almost match about? Did the guy really get hurt at the start? Because, well, obviously he didn't, because nobody came to see about him. So he was obviously hurt in a working way, because he goes down from one clothesline and just, well, let's back up, folks. If you didn't see it, and bless you if you didn't. Almost the 7 foot, whatever, 400-pound giant who is amazing because he can be both scary and comical at the same time, had a handicap match against both of the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivan, Igor, whatever the other guy's name is. The guys that used to be a good tag team called War Machine before they got dressed up like goddamn lunatics.
Were they the Viking Express the first night?
They may have been, but fucking Giorgio Moroder yanked their entrance music and they couldn't be an Express anymore. So what happens is the match starts, and we call him Almost, ladies and gentlemen. I think you can see now, everybody understands this, because he's almost, but not quite ready to be on television. Almost and the Bald Raider did 15 seconds of a fake-looking fight, and then Almost clotheslined the guy coming off the ropes, and the Raider, the Viking, rolled to the floor and was counted out by the referee, and he's laying there, and it takes his partner like to the count of 6 or 7 to even come around and see about him like that. The point is, it wasn't, by wrestling standards of today, a devastating looking bump or a devastating looking clothesline. You see multiple segments or multiple times in multiple segments on every show, people surviving and thriving after something like this. But this guy rolls out on the floor and just lays there. and is counted out and never does get up. And the partner goes around to check on him and is there when he's counted out. So after he's counted out, the other Viking gets up on the apron of the ring and almost comes over. And did he hit him with that kick? or did he kind of get his leg stuck over the rope and the guy just rolled off?
Not quite certain.
And so this big Viking rolls off the apron and lands on his partner. And I mean, there's goddamn been people struck by a strong wind that have been, but this guy stayed down. Apparently they said, don't get up under any circumstances. So this guy's down. And then the interviewer gets in the ring to interview Mr. Almost for 15 seconds. And that's when he says, I will dominate everyone in his, voice.
Is that what he sounds like?
Dominate everyone. Except for the dentist. It looks like the dentist has not been in there in a while. Anyway, at that point, they play Bobby Lashley's music. And here comes Bobby Lashley. And I wrote, and this is a quote in capital letters, certainly fucking not. No MVP. Bobby out there on his own. So people are chanting Bobby, because they like Bobby Lashley. He's been featured. He's been used. The last time we saw him, he was unfortunately fucking concussed in that Elimination Chamber match and couldn't, do anything. But they get up in each other's face and almost pie faces him. And Lashley gives him a tackle and he no-sells it. And he squeezes Lashley's face. And is trash-talking him with his big, and Lashley gives him another tackle. And then he doesn't sell that one. And then Lashley runs and ducks a clothesline and comes off the other side and gives Almost a tackle, and they both go down. And Almost rolls out. And they both stand there and point at the WrestleMania sign. And that's it. And Lashley commits career suicide by agreeing to what already stands to reason will be the absolute worst WrestleMania match ever. And I know some people are saying, wait a minute, Giant Gonzalez or some celebrity.
Uncle Elmer versus Adrian Adonis.
Uncle Elmer versus Adrian Adonis. But no, because Lashley, no matter what the finish or the booking or what they do or how long it goes, Lashley will come out of this looking a lot worse. It is standing in the wrestling community as he did going in. I promise you. Because Almost ain't ready, and he definitely ain't ready for Bobby Lashley, because to not diminish one of those guys takes more ability, honestly, than both of them have. Because Lashley would have to be goddamn, pick your favorite greatest worker of all time, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, fucking Lou Thez, whoever, to go in and look in any way like he needs to look against Almost. Your thoughts, Brian?
First of all, I hope MVP's not let go. I hope they bring him back and do something with him. Maybe he helps Lashley win the match. They made a big deal out of the fact that this is the first time Almost has ever left his feet. Did you hear that?
Well, yes. And hey, again, that is Wrestling 101. The Giant taking his first bump ever would be a big deal. And that's, I'm sure, what Vince had in his unfortunately now age-fogged mind. But it would only be a big deal if any of this had looked good or been exciting up until then. The match was, I mean, the people were sitting there, even the fans, their most ardent fans that had paid money to sit there live are sitting there going, what the fuck is going on here? What is this? The match sucked. The promo was nothing. And the physical confrontation between Lashley and almost leading up to the big bump was a shits. So under those circumstances, no, that is where your rule of thumb of wrestling goes out the window. It doesn't automatically work. Just because the Giant takes his first bump ever doesn't mean that's going to be a memorable moment if everything the previous 5 minutes leading up to it stunk like pond water. That's all I'm saying.
Do you think that the match at WrestleMania, I mean, you're predicting it'll be an all-time bad match. Do you think coming out of that match they say, hey, let's keep going with almost? Or do you think they say, you know what? Maybe you should do something else. Perhaps a career in coding.
I was actually going to give a pithy response, such as, no, there's no reason to cut off the Giant experiment now, but there's also no reason to expect that it's going to pay big dividends. But you see, there's always a reason to expect that Code Academy is going to pay you big dividends because it's going to teach you a brand new career. And folks, there's never been a better time to get a new job than right now. You've heard about, what are they calling it, the Great Resignation, where people are just saying, take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more, because they want something different. They want to advance themselves. They want to make a fortune. They want to rule small South American countries. They want to own private islands in the Pacific where they can wait out pending nuclear warfare. And you can do all those things with Code Academy because the people at Code Academy are the ones that are causing all this. The computers are running the world, and the Code Academy graduates are running the computers. That's why if you look, everyone who has graduated Code Academy has a webbing between their thumb and their forefinger. That's the way you can tell them. If you can't see the webbing between their thumb and their forefinger, look, their little pinky finger will not bend.
There's no webbing, and anyone who uses Code Academy has nothing to fear about in terms of appendages having weird growths.
Well, no, because then you can tell the people who are running the computers because of certain attributes, and also if they get killed, run over, shot, or anything like that, they will burst into a red glow, and then all trace of them will vanish. That's so people can't go back and learn the secrets of Code Academy. Folks, Code Academy can help you reach your coding goals and your full potential that your boss may not recognize, but Code Academy does. You can learn technical skills to advance your career or start a totally new one. Over 50 million people already know that Code Academy is the best way to learn to code because they not only teach you the job-ready coding skills, but also help you build unique projects for your portfolio, earn certificates, prep for technical interviews, even learn the secrets of how to detect the lizard people living underneath the earth.
There are no lizard people. Will you stop with this? You're going back to the lizard people again?
Well, that's because they're giving us the hints.
Who?
What do coding languages, what are they called? Python, Hittimals, with the forked tongue. It's all clues to point us in the right direction, such as tailored career advice and recommendations based on your strengths and interests. Your strengths and interests, if you're into reptiles, that's a definite plus. Get instant feedback. Your code that you write is tested as soon as you submit it. And once they grade it and tell you whether you're on the right track or not, they're going to make you eat it. You can't leave any trace. You write the code.
They don't make you eat anything. Let's be clear.
The code, they check it, and then you eat it so nobody else can steal your work because we don't want this shit getting out. There's an interactive platform that you can log into and learn by doing things. Every once in a while, you will hear a small explosion across town. That's only indicating that what you're doing is having an effect.
No. Let's not joke about that. There will be no explosions, and you will not be causing any explosions with the skills you learn from our fine sponsor at Code Academy.
Well, wait a minute. What if you go through Code Academy and you learn how to code and you get a job with the U.S. government and they put you on the the modern day version of the Manhattan Project and you write all the code and something blows up, you could blow something up with Codecademy, but we encourage you to only do it if you're supposed to. Some of these accidental explosions are not doing anybody any good. Join the over 50 million people learning to code with Codecademy and see where coding can take you. Get 15% off your Codecademy Pro membership when you go to Codecademy.com and use the promo code EXPERIENCE. Codecademy.com, promo code EXPERIENCE, 15% off of Codecademy Pro, the best way to learn to code. By the way, that is CODECADEMY.com.
That's right. Codecademy, and let's get back to the code of Vince McMahon, and of course that means Monday Night Raw.
Well, I can't translate any of this stuff. This is just this. We need the Rosetta Stone here. This is hieroglyphics to me. Did you see the backstage proposal segment?
Fortunately, I did. I did get to see this segment.
Did I really see what I thought I saw? It was a seesaw. So Reggie, he's the guy from Cirque du Soleil. He gets down on his knees and he proposes to Dana Brooke. That's her name, right? Old Duckbill Platypus. Dana Brooke. He gives her an engagement ring. Suddenly, they are attacked by the other Samoan girl that's not Nia Jax. What's her name?
Tamina Snuka.
Tamina. I didn't mean to be mean to Tamina. That girl beats up Dana Brooke and apparently Reggie, I think, right? And then they just ran off. And then Tozawa, the Japanese wrestler, comes in and has a ring of his own and gets down on his knees, or I don't think he got down on his knees. He's already shorter than she is. And Tozawa proposed to Tamina. In a space of a minute and a half, there were 2 marriage proposals, 2 wedding rings or engagement rings, and in the meantime, in the middle, there was a brief dressing room scuffle.
Hey, at least it's realistic. That is like modern wrestling.
They do like to make their proposals public and box themselves in.
And marry their coworkers.
I thought there was supposed to be some kind of rule against interoffice participation.
Independent contractors.
Well, they ought to have cracked down on that type of thing. No wonder there's no female fans anymore. The guys are sticking to the roster. Anyway, how can this be any more rotten and stupid and phony and fake? What in the world?
Did you notice R-Truth had binoculars and a seemingly heel referee by his side planning out something that he was going to do to these people?
Because one of them has the 24/7 title, which is why that they were, I don't know. So real quickly, again, I'm fast forwarding, only stopping on people that interest me. But when I saw what I thought was 2 sets of people doing the same thing, and it turned out that's what they were, I stopped on that. But we got to the Reigns, Heyman, and Usos in-ring promo next. And this, I really started getting hot because Roman Reigns is great. What an attitude, what a voice, what a delivery, the facials. But the fans ruined this because they whatted him too much. It was distracting. He worked around it, but it was distracting. This, without the whatting, would have been it still was a great promo, but this, without the whatting, this is how to sell a match in pro wrestling verbally. It was serious. It made it important. It was personal. Talking about the way that Brock made him look in front of his family, and his kid did that. His family doubted him when he busted his head open before, blah, blah, blah. except for the what shit, which 20 fucking years. And now they're doing it again because Austin's back.
They never stopped doing it.
Well, I mean, they never
That's the
stopped,
worst thing Steve Austin ever did to wrestling, was introducing that chant.
It's more now because it's on their mind. But here's what I was going to talk about with the Brock promo. The Brock promo was fine. And they played with him with the what too, and he, played back with him a little bit. And it's harder for the heel because Reigns, because they want to disrupt the heel, whereas they didn't want to necessarily disrupt Brock Lesnar. But did anybody even talk about, or did we notice, or did maybe the announcers cover it in one of the, the bumps to the break or an on camera or whatever? But they have been advertising for the past 2 or 3 weeks. What's going to happen in Madison Square Garden? Well, we know what happened. Well, what's going to happen when they're face-to-face on Raw or SmackDown or whatever? The forklifts and the pickaxes to the SUVs and the fucking chaos and the attacks and the Zoom calls that they're breaking in on. And then all of a sudden, both Reigns and Brock Lesnar are in this building together. They come out to the ring and do uninterrupted promos within an hour of each other. And there's no violence. Neither one of them says boo to the other. And a lot of people are, well, Cornette, you've always said sometimes they ought to just talk about it. We shouldn't see an angle every week. And that is true. But Brian Last, I propose this to you. I posit this theory to you. Did they book it backwards, having these guys in such a frenzy, at such a fever pitch, that they couldn't be in the same building without taking pickaxes and forklifts to each other last week and the week before the match? Well, then they do great promos, but they're coexisting in the same place at the same time. They put the cart before the horse. They booked in strange order. And a lot of that is due to Vince changing his mind all the time, I know, and that was the same way 25 years ago. We were locked into more things when we taped 4 weeks of Raw in one night. And that's when Vince was that legendary plan ahead guy. As soon as Raw got to be live every week, then the legendary plan ahead guy got shorter ahead until finally now it is what it is now, that they're changing the shit when they go in the production meeting before the show. But when you did 4 weeks of TV in a row or in a night, and it was on tape and it couldn't be fucked with, week one you might do the angle, whatever it is, between whoever it is. Then week two you might replay that angle to freshen it up in people's mind and announce that the match is going to take place. Or if you already announced that it's going to take place or where it's going to take place, that it has this extra stipulation or whatever the case. And then you let the guys talk about it, whether live or on tape or whatever. And Matt, in week 3, 2 weeks before the show, maybe then you freshen it up a little bit. Maybe if it was a heat angle, the babyface gets a little fucking hope spot back. And then the week before the go-home show, that's when you try to go for heavy heat, unless the heavy heat was to start, or you need to reinforce something, or whatever. And there's 18 million ways to do it, but you don't start out or get to the point where these guys are having to be held back like rabid dogs, and then you've still got more TV before the show. Because it's like, I've always said, like a referee bump, your clock is ticking. I use that phrase in wrestling school because before modern wrestling, when it just became accepted now that when the referee gets bumped by a shoulder tackle or whatever, he's going down, he's going to be down for 3 minutes or however long it takes to do whatever they want to do. In legitimate professional wrestling of the territory days and years gone by, yes, if the referee did get a finger poke in the eye, or a guy bowled him over with a shoulder tackle, or he got squished in the corner. As soon as he dropped, the heel's clock was ticking. And they have to commit the crime, the robbery, while the policeman is distracted, not knowing how long he's going to be distracted, so they have to look as if they are hurrying as fast as they can. And the business, whatever it may be, has to get done before the people in the arena who can see all this. They can still see the referee, even if he's down on the floor. They can see him at ringside. They see what's going on. When the referee has been down long enough that the attention of the people in the arena is starting to go back to him, like, well, wait a minute, how long is he going to be knocked down? That's counterproductive, because then their attention is being distracted from the fuck finish, from the cheating or the illegal tactic of the heel, who's got to get it done again as quickly as possible before the mind wanders of those fans over to, well, that guy ought to be up by now. And then they're getting pissed at this bullshit, and they're really not paying attention to what's going on in the ring. And then the whole thing becomes horse shit. So your crime clock is ticking when the referee goes down. In the same way, you're building tension to see a match with angles and promos and etc. It's like pulling a pin on a hand grenade. When you pull the pin on the hand grenade, you know you got 10 seconds. And there's drama. And there's tension. And if there was a clock on the screen, people by 3 and 2 are going, oh, shit, and your asshole's puckering. But then if the fucking thing don't explode, what if you had 30 seconds on that hand grenade? Or 60 seconds? Well, now if that hand grenade, the pin has been pulled, or the referee has been bumped, or a gimmick has been brought out, brass knucks, whatever, the gimmick is in play, your clock is ticking. It's all the same. All the tension and the drama that you're going to get from a hand grenade or from a foreign object or from a referee bump so he can't see a fuck finish or whatever the case is going to happen at the start. The longer it goes on, then the people are going to be, well, is that goddamn thing going to blow up? Well, it's been 60 seconds. Well, and then they started, well, it must be a dud. And then if it does blow up, they've already convinced themselves it's not going to. So then it's like, oh, I guess it blew up. Not, holy shit, it blew up. Everybody takes too long. And subliminally, people are seeing that, even if every fan in the audience doesn't understand why, that they don't care as much as they ought to. That's why. A lot of modern wrestling fans, the million or so that watch AEW for a weekly habit, they're conditioned to just watch whatever happens and it doesn't have to make sense. And they don't care that the guy's down for so long because they know he's supposed to be. But the other 9 or 10 million people that used to watch wrestling until they got run off by a horse shit like that, they're the ones that kind of care about that stuff. But now it's just normal. Oh, the referee gets bumped. If he was down for 3 minutes unconscious, he's probably going to wake up a vegetable. And nobody comes, the guy's laying there for 3 minutes. Do we know if he's breathing? Has he got oxygen? Brain damage? Whatever the fuck. It doesn't happen like that. Legitimately, a referee can be knocked down. It's happened as a shoot. Or he can get poked in the eye and can't see for a minute. It's happened as a shoot. It's believable because it's can happen and has. I've never seen anybody get knocked out for 4 minutes by a shoulder tackle and then be okay enough on the other side of it to roll in and count the 3 count. That's why everybody hates the Dusty finish now, because Dusty never had his refs take bumps for fucking 5 minutes. And Dusty usually piqued his hatred amongst his people that he was trying to sell tickets to their match, not for 3 weeks ahead of the match, but going into the match. So to bring that whole thing around full circle, I would have loved these promos by Reigns and Lesnar better if they'd taken place before they were actively saying, if I'm in the same place at the same time as you, I'm going to run you down with my fucking forklift. See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I agree with you. It is weird that the last few episodes have always been, Reigns has been on the run from Lesnar, and I kept expecting Lesnar to come out. It didn't happen. One other note, because you really said everything there. You brought up Reigns' facial expressions. The most underrated one is the one of fear. When he was confident that Lesnar wasn't going to be there, they showed that highlight again from SmackDown, and then all of a sudden, he found that Lesnar was there. His face. He's right now the best guy in the business. The best top guy in the business.
Yeah. And it, you know, it's frustrating that we had that, he had that underneath there all along, and they tried to force feed him as a babyface all those years. But we talked about that when it was happening. But anyway, that's my summation of the whole Lesnar Reigns thing. Is it looks like it started out at hatred and has peaked at, minor pissedness. Their emotions are going backwards. Should we announce it now? They announced it there. We're going to talk about it in more detail later on, but the Steiner Brothers are going into the Hall of Fame.
We're one step closer to him being Braun Steiner every single day.
One step closer. And we're gonna have a whole deal on that later on, because they had a very brief mention here. They did an incredible package on Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was 5 minutes long, highlights, action, all the stars talking about him. You see that not only on screen with what they were showing, but in the crowds, the excitement, chaos, pandemonium. He had people on fucking fire. And that was, I hated to hear Kid Rock now, knowing what we know now about him and his Trump-sucking right-wing trailer trash bullshit. But this was a fantastic fucking package. And it shows that, who are they reacting to like that today in the business anywhere? Nobody. And part of it is because Steve Austin was obviously a very unique talent. Part of it was because it was a different era where everybody wasn't too smart for their own good. And people didn't sit there and, they didn't have to sit through an hour or 2 hours of amateur hour on anybody's program to get to the star of the fucking show. They were seeing excitement up and down the card with professionals, but that was the pinnacle of it. Steve Austin, The Rock. And not only does the talent, most of it not compare today, but also everybody's so smart and seen so much. Nothing means anything anymore. Everybody gets hospitalized every week. Everybody, gets kidnapped and fucking tied up, taken away, and held for ransom every week. Bless you, Tom Petty. And nothing means anything, so nobody gets over. And then you go back 25 years and you see the crowds acting like this. They're fucking flashing their tits. They're jumping up and down. They're throwing the babies in the air. They're pissing themselves. That's what modern wrestling has done for you. And people not taking care of it. A lot of people were smart in the Attitude Era, but they still reacted like they were on fucking Tide Pods because they were excited about everything.
I won't get into Kid Rock's politics. I think we could just focus on the fact that his music has always sucked. But the question is, they said that Kid Rock, they thanked him, they promoted his new album. If you're promoting his new album, why are you playing his hit song from 1999?
Well, because that song fits actually, that may be a reused package. I think they may have done that package for another program and just put it in there. It's brilliant anyway. What has Kid Rock done in the last 20 years that fits anything exciting either? He's the same boat as the WWF. bloated, lazy, and fucking past its prime. So 20-year-old Kid Rock and 20-year-old WWF fucking footage is a perfect match, and it was great. I'd like to see more 25-year-old footage on Monday Night Raw. It might be watchable.
Maybe you're right. At least it wasn't Limp Bizkit.
Well, you got me there. Anyway, so here comes Kevin Owens. And this, I'll tell you what, he is a cunning linguist. He is a really smart verbal gymnast. He shut the whats down and got some heat. And they tried to what him, and they got him for a minute, but he whatted himself, and then he got him to listen to what he was saying. And then when he started knocking Austin, they didn't want to hear that from his smart mouth, and it distracted them into booing him like they're supposed to. So he did a good job. Go ahead.
I thought this was a fantastic promo. I loved it. I thought this may have been the highlight of the entire show. It's too bad that the feud made no sense up to this point. Like, if it was just this promo and this kind of intensity leading into whatever it's going to be, the first appearance of Steve Austin in a ring in a long time, it'd be something, but they bungled the build-up to this so that it made no sense. I guess part of it was they thought they were getting a match, and then they found out they weren't getting a match. But this promo was the best part of this whole Austin-Owens feud. This promo was great.
Well, and see, part of the thing is, again, we just talked about they've had two guys going after each other with forklifts, and then the same two guys just talk on the program. The great thing about this particular situation they're in is that nothing physical is needed. It would be detrimental to this angle and to the match or the show or the fight or the deal at WrestleMania if we even saw Steve Austin live in person before this thing happens. So in this situation, no, you absolutely don't want to have anything physical. No, you absolutely don't want to see one of the participants until the actual event itself. So that means you need a heel that can fucking carry the promo, and that's what he did here. And this time he was serious. And Kevin, I appreciate you listening to the program and my constructive comments last week, and you took some of them to heart, and I appreciate that. Because he basically did the promo I said he ought to do last week, not in the same words, but with the same intention. Now he was serious. Stone Cold Steve Austin, yeah, you were great. That video shows how great you were. But for 19 years, you've been sitting around a sad beer-drinking shell of your former self, begging to be on people's podcasts, blah, blah, blah. Now we got personal. Now we got serious. And he actually came out and said, he didn't come out and say in these many words, but he said, you can't whip me today. Piff and toff, I say. And he's going to give Stone Cold Steve Austin the send-off that he deserves, and he's going to drink a filthy beer, even though he hates it because it tastes like whatever, and toast Stone Cold Steve Austin, passing the torch to him as the new Stone Cold and the master of the stunner. Now, that's a go-home promo for the show in a situation like this. And when Austin comes out, and it's the first time we've seen him live, the babies will fly in the air. Even though Kevin Steen, we didn't know he had a lifelong hatred of the state of Texas until 4 weeks ago. So, yeah, this was the best part about the whole thing. At this point, everybody just wants to see Steve Austin. I don't know that they would really have cared if they'd have just announced on Raw that, yeah, we called a cab and Steve Austin showed up driving it, so he'll be on WrestleMania. Just any reason. But it would have been nice if there was something really that you could sink your teeth into apart from this manufactured premise. But we will push on, right?
I assume.
What did Ricochet do to piss somebody off? Was it just 2 weeks ago? Or maybe, once again, maybe this was Uncle Dave again. But 2 weeks ago, the story was going out that Ricochet was the number 2 in the number 2 babyface spot on this program, or they had plans for him, or they're going to use him, or whatever.
I remember you saying that on the show. It was news to me.
It's because I read it on the internet. It must be true. Well, something's happened. I'm not saying that Ricochet should have beaten Austin Theory. That would be insane. But on this show with these 15-minute long dramatic monologues, Austin Theory's against Pat McAfee in one of these celebrity wing matches. So, of course, he needs a good win on Raw. But why put him in against Ricochet, give Ricochet part of the offense, and beat the guy in less than 2 minutes? It was weird. At the start, it was the worst that Theory, to me, has looked in a match because he was having to stooge for Ricochet's Cirque du Bolshoi shenanigans, and it was awkward. At one point, I think, if you hadn't seen him do it, you would have thought that Theory couldn't get shot buckle to buckle, because when Ricochet shot him off, he jerked him and he was off balance and he just wheeled into the buckle instead of doing it smooth or whatever. But then he took over quick, hit his finish, boom, that was it. 90 seconds? Why even do that? What the fuck happened there? Did Owens go 10 minutes over time?
I was so curious how the match was going to go. This is like one of those matches, okay, I'll stop and watch this one. And I was curious how they would book it, because you had just told me Ricochet was getting a push. Austin Theory's about to get this match with McAfee. Okay, maybe McAfee fucks him again to cost him the match. No, he just squashed Ricochet. I couldn't believe I turned around, the match was over.
It wasn't a squash. Ricochet got enough offense to make the match stink, and then he squashed him. It didn't serve any purpose.
They got to do something else with Austin Theory's hair.
Well, I think we can put that on our list of problems, but I don't know if we're going to highlight it and put it up at the top. Good Lord. All right. Speaking of changing hair, we had a hair angle next. Did they add a hair versus hair stipulation I'm not aware of?
I have not seen anything about that since Raw aired last night. No.
Okay. Well, Bianca Belair does a promo. And obviously, her long, magnificent ponytail is a weapon that she uses in her matches, and she gets the crack and the whole 9 yards. She's doing a promo. I'm barely paying attention because I don't really particularly care. But here comes Becky Lynch. And she jumps Bianca Belair, and they get in a fight, and Becky Lynch ends up hitting Bianca Belair with a chair. And nobody's trying to stop this. They're just, Bianca was in the ring all alone. Suddenly, Lynch shows up. There's no referees. There's no security. There's no Pierce, DeVille, whatever the case. Becky Lynch gets a pair of scissors to cut off Bianca Belair's ponytail, because that's going to rob her of a lethal weapon that she uses. And I understand this, right? She gets the scissors out and she goes to cut the ponytail. Now, referees come to ringside. So apparently before, when they were bashing each other with a chair, felonious assault is okay, but don't touch the hair. But the referees come to ringside and they're standing there on the floor, waving their hands, going, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't. If you're robbing a fucking bank, do the cops stand out on the street and go, no, please don't do that? Or do they come in and attempt to stop you? So as the referees are waving their hands, Bianca Belair comes out from under Becky Lynch, picks her up and gives her big fucking whoop-de-doo finish. And as she gives it to her again. And then she takes forever. And should I? Why, I oughta. I might do it. I see those scissors. I'm not sure I should. That type of thing.
Don't blame her, though. You know that's the kind of thing they tell people to do.
Well, yes, they're telling her to do, and she's doing it. They're all to blame. Meanwhile, there are male referees standing at ringside, not even getting in the ring when now, what would happen? Let's say it's the WNBA. And these two girls have had a beef, and one of them's down, and the other one grabs a pair of scissors. You know, I don't know if I'm going to stab you or cut your hair off. Would the referees intervene?
Well, I'm pretty sure there'd be some intervention as soon as a deadly weapon appeared.
Yeah. So Bel-Air gets the scissors, and she starts cutting chunks out of Becky Lynch's hair. Now, here comes Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville and 3 or 4 different referees in the ring, and now they're standing there around her waving their arms. Not one of them lays a hand on Bianca Belair. They do not touch her. They do not physically restrain her. They do not try to block the scissors. They don't grab her and pull her off. They just stand there and wave their arms. She cuts a bit more hair, and then she leaves, holding the hair up. So now the heel, and I can understand the heel wanting to cut off the ponytail and trying to do it. That's the implied heat. It's not her fault that she didn't accomplish it. She tried to, and the referees and Adam Pearce and whoever stopped her, that no good bitch, Becky Lynch, tried to cut her ponytail off. The effort, I learned this early on when I got into business also, the effort of the heel in trying to his best that he possibly can to do something dirty, underhanded, whatever, and being prevented by the troops, the cavalry, the referees, the baby faces making a save, whatever. That's almost as good as if he did it. But then for the babyface to turn around and actually just cut the hair on, unless Becky Lynch is going over and winning that match and I would say in fairly convincing fashion, why take the heat all off of Becky Lynch in this fucking thing when you've just tried to get some on her? Now she's a failure that has had her hair cut, and nobody even stopped her from doing it to the babyface. The babyface stopped it on her own. So obviously she needs no assistance to take care of Becky Lynch. I know these people, they've never been in the wrestling business, but have they ever watched movies or TV or read a book on psychology? Did they ever go to school?
You're talking about Vince or the writers?
Ever been in a Turkish prison?
Are you talking about Vince?
The writers. I know Vince has been in a Turkish prison. I'm not talking about that now.
And he liked it.
So after that, what did you think of this?
It was interesting. I got intrigued. I was hoping she would cut closer to the roots, just because it would be funny looking.
Oh, come on.
I mean, if they're not building to her getting the ponytail cut, it's interesting they would do this to build to the match a week out of a WrestleMania match that there isn't a lot of buzz about. I don't know. If they're not cutting her hair, why would they just have her go out there and just cut chunks out of Becky Lynch's hair? Unless Becky just, got lice and said, I got to cut my hair this week. And they said, okay, we're going to do some kind of angle.
Do you think that's why Seth is acting that way?
Lice?
Lice?
Interesting. Brain lice?
I was thinking maybe it's an earwig. It's so slowly eating his brain. I don't know. I'm just going to cross off all of that stuff that I've just said. And there we go. And yeah, and let's cross that off too. And by the way, I quit on the program after that. That was the worst thing I've ever seen. Did I miss anything? Because I quit. I couldn't do it anymore.
Well, the only other thing I remember, and I watched, I think, most of the show, but some of it you just don't remember, and it was hours ago at this point as we're recording. But Edge did a very theatrical promo in what may have been Malachi Black's studio. I'm not sure. Sitting at a table explaining why he is now Evil Edge. But that was really it.
So another promo was the only other highlight of the program to go along with the 4 other promos that we just covered.
And then there was a big tag team extravaganza with a bunch of the tag teams that I don't give a shit about. Like RK Bro. And it stinks. But, I look on the bright side. At least I started the day with a good breakfast.
Well, that is a positive every time. And you don't have to just start the day with breakfast, Brian, because everybody knows that breakfast is a meal you can eat anytime. You can eat it for dinner. You can eat it for lunch. You can eat it for breakfast. Many people do. And you can also just snack around the house at any point in time. I'm not talking about just carrying around some yellow, runny, over easy fried eggs and bacon in your pocket for whenever you need some. I'm not talking about sitting down to sausage biscuits 5 times a day. Well, you would end up looking very corpulent if you were to do such a thing. But thanks to our fine friends at Magic Spoon, you can pretty much eat breakfast 24 hours a day and not feel guilty nor look like you've just eaten a giant goddamn waterbed. Because Magic Spoon has all of the taste that you love about cereal, but none of the sugar and the junk. 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Only 140 calories a serving. Keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low carb. You can pour it in a bowl and eat it with milk. You can pour it in a bowl and eat it with cold Sprite Zero. You can carry a bag of this
don't do
around.
that. That sounds awful.
You could if you wanted to. You can carry a bag of it around and munch on it like an old man wearing a raincoat walking around the park munching on suspicious popcorn. You can do whatever you want with the Magic Spoon because you're not going to... Suspicious popcorn. Have you ever seen what's in those bags that the old men carry around when they're wearing the raincoats?
No, how did you see it?
This one guy, he had pant legs. No pants, just pant legs. They were tied around his knees. But when he opened his coat, boy, did you get a surprise. He's been on the Magic Spoon. He had a svelte figure.
Well, no.
Folks, you don't want to look like that your waistline has a coastline. You don't want to be so fat you've got your own gravitational pull. You don't want to be so giant and massive that the space shuttle is sending back the first known photos of the north side of your waistline. Folks, get in shape and feel healthy and good. And wake up every day with a smile on your face, a song on your lips, and who knows what on your face from the night before. Possibly egg in some cases, or something else that's equally as runny and viscous. Anyway, magicspoon.com/Jim is where you need to go to grab a custom bundle of cereal because you can build your own bundle from the aforementioned flavors like Kodo, that's in development right now. We don't want to tell you what's in it.
Kodo Ibushi.
Yeah, plenty of his fucking keto is in it. Cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and maple waffle are available now. And you can build your own bundle. Use the code or magicspoon.com/Jim. Use the code Jim to save $5 off at checkout. It's backed with the 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't get a happy ending off of this, they will refund your money, no questions asked. So it's guilt-free cereal. You never want guilt after a happy ending. magicspoon.com/Jim. In every bowl of Magic Spoon ends, when you get to the bottom and you get to the end, you're happy. Every bowl of Magic Spoon comes with a guaranteed happy ending, folks. magicspoon.com/Jim. Use the code Jim. Save that $5 off. You always want to save $5 on a happy ending.
Well, Jim, we will move on from there. We've started the show with some Raw and some breakfast talk. Let's talk about something that happened in the evening. Although I guess Raw happened in the evening. Feels like it never ended.
It's still going on right now, as far as I know.
Jim, something that happened in the world of pop culture that has been a major news story the last couple of days is something that either surprisingly or not surprisingly, seemingly dozens, if not hundreds of listeners have sent the clip to myself, to you, to the drive-thru email from the Academy Awards. Will Smith getting up and slapping Chris Rock, the comedian, after he made a joke about Will's wife's hair.
Well, and there's two schools of thought, at least to me, on the surface of it. People think, obviously, it was either a shoot or a work. It was either a poorly done work or a shoot that fell flat. It wasn't good in any respect, but we'll analyze it, I guess, since we got nothing better to do. And the wrestling fans were, all over this because everybody else immediately just took it at face value because that's, you would normally think that's what you do on the Oscar show, right? The bits are clearly bits and the real is clearly real to most average civilians on the Oscar shows or awards or whatever. But in this case, what the fuck's going on? Did somebody go into business for themselves? That's what the whole world is thinking. But the wrestling fans are going, oh, wait a minute. Because there's physicality.
Well, the wrestling fans are one thing. I think the wrestlers are another thing. They're the first ones. Usually the wrestlers are the first ones to call something a work.
Well, yeah, that's true. There's a lot of wrestlers that think that things are works that aren't works, but I don't honestly know because, as I said, it was poorly done either way. But here's the thing. If you analyze this, he makes the joke. They get a shot of Will Smith. Will Smith is kind of laughing. You don't see the instant, oh, you've gone too far on his face. Then they cut back to Chris Rock, and then here comes Will Smith walking towards him. And then there's the pow, only he didn't get a good smack. It was more of a clump. I think he might have got some of his suit or his shoulder muffled the blow, but he hit him. And then he turns around and walks back. And there is a photo out there that people have captured, and they're making memes out of it. At one point, it was me and Santino and somebody else, whatever, the slap. But if it was a shoot, it was just so happened that Chris Rock put his hands down, leaned forward, had some eye contact going on, and was braced for impact. And if you watch, Will Smith didn't slap somebody like you would slap them when you hear the thing that goes too far. Who was it years ago in the locker room? Now you've gone too far. And you just snap and slap the motherfucker. He drew back. It was a flat hand, and he got him on the good part. Didn't get him in the ear. Chris Rock would have sold it a lot more. And he turned around and went back and sat down. So Chris Rock prepped for somebody to slap him, whether he knew he was going to get slapped or not. It was a good prep. He was in the right place. There was when somebody swings at you, there's generally a little bit of if it's not planned and it's surprising you, there's a little bit of a pullback, which we didn't get there. But then the lead up to it didn't seem like that they were working because there was no instant look on Will Smith like, you motherfucker. But then he got up and did it. And then Chris Rock, if it had been a work, wouldn't you think that Chris Rock would have had a better comeback? If you knew something like that and you had planned it or you knew it was going to happen. So
the comeback would have given him a chance to save some face.
Right.
There was nothing.
He just stood there like if he just got his taste slapped out of his mouth. He's like, well, this is the greatest night in the history of television. And then when Chris Rock sits back down, he yells, when Will Smith sits back down. I'm sorry, when Will Smith sits back down, he says, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. But either Chris Rock could not have heard that, and he's like, what? Or Will Smith could have noticed that most people didn't hear it because the camera wasn't on him and he didn't say it, and there was still some rumbling, so he said it again louder, and this time it got picked up. But why and for what purpose would Will Smith or Chris Rock engage in this as a publicity stunt to get people talking about him when it's Will Smith and Chris Rock? People are already talking about them. This is not necessarily Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman on the Letterman show when You know, I'll be the first to admit, biggest Lawler fan in the world. Not everybody in the United States was talking about Jerry Lawler, even after the Andy Kaufman match, on the level of Will Smith, and nor was Kaufman on the level of Will. So the point is, what would this have served by them doing this for Will Smith to scream, a noted movie actor and Hollywood superstar, to scream fuck on network television at the Oscars? What's the upside? So while the actual physicality of the slap looked like the two guys that were working a slap, the lead up and the payoff and the afterbirth was caca and didn't do anything for anybody. And what would there have been to be done for anybody with shooting this angle if it was indeed an angle? What'd you think?
I think it was one person doing their own angle. I think if I was Chris Rock, you know what my comeback would have been? That's good, Will. You almost convinced everyone you're straight now.
No!
Because seriously, I mean, all of a sudden they show him there. He's sitting there. He's laughing at it. She was upset. And the story now goes that Chris Rock was unaware that she had some sort of condition which causes hair loss. So he made a joke about a bald woman who, by the way, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. Okay, keep your wife off my fucking movie screen and out of my direct frame of view if I'm a comedian hosting the Academy Awards.
Or just if you happen to be Cody Rhodes. Keep your wife off my screen.
The whole thing's ridiculous. Will Smith gets up there, hits him, sits back down. I will congratulate Will Smith and thank him. He has now set a precedent that if you're sitting in the crowd and someone on stage says something you don't like, just punch him in the mouth, sit right back down. You may even get an award later in the evening.
Yeah, later on you'll be able to give a speech about it.
I think that for some reason, Will Smith went from smiling and laughing. He saw his wife's face and he thought, now's the time I got to get up and do something. But he wasn't going to do that if it was The Rock. He wasn't going to do that if it was any other big actor.
The Rock, not Chris Rock.
Yeah, if it was someone who's worked out. No disrespect to Chris Rock. Chris Rock's a fucking comedian. And by the way, that's his job. You don't know Chris Rock's going to make jokes about the celebrities in front of him? It's his job. It's what he's done better than almost anyone for the last 25 years. So he gets up there, he hits a comedian, and he sits back down. I'm sorry, Will Smith is the biggest fucking pussy of all time.
But now, there's another element to this also. Did I hear that there had been a previous comment by Chris Rock and Will Smith had taken offense to that? Or
I believe, and I may be misquoting it somewhat, but I believe I have the general theme of it. A few years back, when there was a boycott of the Oscars because there weren't enough black actors and actresses and filmmakers being represented in the nominees and the award winners, she said she was going to be boycotting, and I believe Chris Rock said something along the line of, well, no one really invited you anyway. You're boycotting something, you're never going to win an award. Like, what are you boycotting? You're boycotting standing on the red carpet and getting some pictures. So I believe that's it.
That doesn't sound severely inflammatory, but now I'm just thinking, what if Will Smith had called Chris Rock at that point and say, you know what? Don't make any more jokes about my wife or elsewise I'm going to have to slap you next time I see you.
This was Will Smith's Tom Cruise on the couch moment. I'm serious. That's the way I see this. All of a sudden, this guy who's been a big star has always tried to act normal. All of a sudden, he does something completely foreign from everything he's ever done. And it was intentional. I mean, he knew it was on live. He knew if he starts yelling fucking on the show that it would get somewhere, even if they bleeped it got on the Japanese feed. He knew that you can't just get up and hit someone, but he did it. He did. This was intentional on his part, I think, more than... I don't think Chris Rock was playing into it.
Here's where I was going with that. Yeah, he did look a bit stunned, but what I'm saying is that, do you think if Will Smith had called Chris Rock and said, hey, next time you do that, I'm going to have to smack you, and Chris Rock looked down there and did it right on stage and gave that big grin at Will Smith, like, what are you going to do now? And Will Smith's like, well, motherfucker, he's fucking backed me into the corner. I got to do it now.
I hope that story comes out. That would be tremendous.
That would actually be the best thing. That would be great. Well, now, motherfucker, I told you, you're trying me.
See, that's the
going
thing.
Too far.
If it was just he made a joke and he got up there and did it, that's one thing. If there was a warning, then it's a great story. I told him, if you ever say anything about me or my family again, I'm going to hit you. He did it on national TV.
Wherever we are, I don't care. I will stop what I'm doing and I'm going to smack you senseless. I'm going to smack you so hard your kids will be born dizzy. And then Chris Rock is, well, I'll show you. And he thought he was safe. That would be a great story. I
don't think Chris Rock was working in any way. He was so rattled, you could tell he was not working. I've never seen Chris Rock that rattled on stage ever.
But I wonder if Will got any that night
from Jada or from someone else.
Well, from Jada for standing up for her honor and justice and things like that. Somebody said, wonder if the police were called, which the police were called, but Chris Rock didn't want to file charges. But they said they could have taken some fresh prints off of Chris Rock's face.
That's bad.
That's bad. And then no wonder they sent him to live with his fucking uncle, whatever the fuck, right? Little delinquent.
Did you see they did a remake of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and now it's like just Fresh Prince, and it's not a comedy in any way. Now it's a serious drama.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for this.
I didn't watch the show, but I saw the advertising. What they were. Yeah, that's a show right there that's always screamed out for being an hour-long drama. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well, it's nice compared to the 3-hour-long drama we just watched before. But Jim, let's talk about another topic that's been happening in and around the world of wrestling. And a lot of people have written in and wanted to get your thoughts on the passing of Rocky King.
Oh, yeah. I just saw that yesterday. And obviously Rocky wasn't in the business for 30 years or whatever, but it was during that, last half of the 80s period of time where now all of those shows are on Peacock, the WCW and Crockett shows. And some of those guys have had a resurgence because people can see them again. And that was one of the first angles that we worked when we came to work for Crockett was the original, obviously the linchpin of the thing was the Midnight Express in a feud with Jimmy Valiant and partners that would be explained at various points, like Ronnie Garvin, and who later became Miss Atlanta Lively, unfortunately. And superstar Billy Graham was involved with Jimmy Valiant at one point because Graham was trying to get back in the business there and Crockett was using him, but they weren't great matches. But what name power, my God, you had stars from, 3 different decades. But Rocky King had been doing jobs on TV and working underneath, and they booked him on, some underneath matches at the house shows. But Dusty liked him. He had a great body, especially for the time, and especially for a lot of the other guys that were doing jobs. Somebody tweeted a Midnight Express versus Rocky King and Ron Rossi match. Do you remember Ron Rossi?
I do.
Nicest guy in the world. Tried his hardest, just wanted to be a part of the show, had no ego or whatever, but my God, he looked like a baked potato with arms, legs, and a mustache. And so Rocky was athletic and he had personality and he had the big smile and the people kind of started liking him. Dusty wanted to use him. So we had the, match with them and ended up, for whatever, because we're heels, kicking the shit out of Rocky King when he bowed up a little bit at us, and here comes Jimmy Valiant to make the save, and he brings Rocky King into his group of the street people. And, and later on, maybe Rocky was driving Big Mama around when she was looking for handsome Jimmy, the boogie woogie man. But so that Rocky got a chance to, to be involved in a bit of an angle and work with some of the top guys. And again, he was great, and he knew that he was probably going to be the one dropping the fall on that side because, when you're in with Jimmy Valiant and Superstar Graham and a Ronnie Garvin or whatever, he knew he was not there yet, but he was thankful for the opportunity and easy to work with. He got so fucking excited, though, at first because he'd never been featured. right? So finally one night it was a little small town in Virginia, right across the border from North Carolina that Crockett used to run. And it was a little small town, but we'd go in this gym and do, 1,500 people or whatever. And I'm trying to remember the name of it, but nevertheless, Valiant actually, because we're going to win. So Valiant sells and gives Rocky the tag. And Rocky is so excited to get the hot tag and make a comeback that he leaps over the top rope, almost, caught his left toe on the top, and he's never let go of the top rope, so he spun in over the top at like 5,000 miles an hour. He jumps, hits a quick spin, landed on his feet, still holding onto the top rope, jerked himself to his feet, and started throwing drop kicks. It is a goddamn, if you didn't know, you would have almost thought he tried to do it that way. But anyway, after that ran for a while, he still stayed around the area because I think he was living in Georgia. And they would use him intermittently. I think he was back in 87 and 88. And then, of course, what was it, 90 or 91 or 90? Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin were the Freebirds, and they'd lost the opportunity to get Gordy because he was... Go ahead.
I think that was 91. 1990, I thought you were going to go when Ole brought him in to do the whole racist angle with Flair and the Junkyard Dog. It started with Rocky King and the Horsemen cornering Rocky King before JYD came out of the crowd to save him.
Yeah, I'd forgot about that, thankfully. None of that was particularly a high point, but yes. Ole loved to do there was a market for it when it was Atlanta television. With, the heel making fun of the black baby face being Tony Atlas and et cetera, because the wrestling fans there, the audience in Georgia and that part of the country was probably split 50-50. And most of them, obviously, whether they were white or black, they were on the side of the black baby face because the antagonistic white heels were saying all these horrible things. But it didn't work nor fly in 1990 when the show's being seen all over the fucking country, and it didn't work. But then it wasn't quite as tasteless, but at the same time probably didn't work any better when he became a member of the Freebirds. But at least he got another chance to do something. But Little Richard Marley was where I was going with.
That's right.
So the Freebirds. And see, this was the thing again. Sometimes if the Midnight Express had lasted 20 years uninterrupted as a team, we probably would have had to change some shit too. But we had the 7, and we did change one partner, one whole member of the team. But we had 7 years and then the reunions, but we're just doing the greatest hits catalog because, that's what everybody wanted to see at that point. And it wasn't like we were trying to get over and work regularly. The Freebirds, in trying to update themselves in various incarnations, went completely fucking mad and lost the plot. And these 3 redneck, fucking Southern psychopaths, whiskey drinking fucking hellraisers from the South with the Stars and Bars and the whole 9 yards and Freebird and Leonard Skinner music. 10 years later, there's Michael Hayes moonwalking with one fucking glove on like Michael Jackson. He's wearing eyeliner like David Bowie. Jimmy Garvin has joined the team and he's in fucking sequins. And they're still using the Skinner music, but now only the fast-paced instrumental. And then they get a black kid named Little Richard Marley, named after both Little Richard and Bob Marley. And all of those things individually may be great, but together, I don't know what the fuck they were doing, and nobody else did either, and that's why I didn't get over. But Rocky got a chance to fucking do. They mentioned in some of the stories about Rocky, even though he didn't become a major star to make a ton of money. But he had since then, because he was homeless before he started in wrestling. And it was a dream of his to be on TV, and just those checks were big to him. And since then, he's raised money for the homeless. He would feed, hungry people in the Atlanta area at the homeless missions. He was always trying to help kids and do charity work or whatever. So, he was a great guy. I hate that. And did they say what happened? I think that's the only piece of information I didn't retain from the
I didn't see
news
that.
was what actually happened. But he wasn't, is he 60, 62? Somewhere around my age, I would think, or younger. That's not comforting. How old was he?
I didn't have his age in front of me.
Find that? Well, you don't have it in front of you? You don't instantly know Rocky's age? Well, let's see. Hold on. If he was starting around 1985, he'd be around 60, one way or the other.
It says here he was born in 1960.
So 62, almost maybe. So they're okay. But it were too young regardless. And so I hate that. I hadn't seen him in God in 20-something years or whatever. But, there you go. Nobody lives forever, and I guess we're not all of us going to get out of here alive, as they say.
Well, let's get to our next question, Jim. This was one that several people have sent in this morning about a Paul Heyman interview on the Sports Media Podcast with Richard Deitch. Have you seen any quotes from this?
I have not. Haven't been keeping up with Paul's interview schedule lately.
All right, I have some quotes here. I'll read them to you, and then we'll get your thoughts on the other side. It was very public knowledge that my contract came up last year, and I kept it very close to the vest because I'm not one of these people that A, want to negotiate in public, and B, I'm reading an awful lot lately about who signed how long for how much, and I just never want that to be me. This much I will say, I re-signed with WWE last year. It was a long-term agreement, and they created a situation where I would have been a fool not to take them up on their offer. So I'm locked in for a while. I do have outside projects just because I like to multitask and I'm very ADD and I just can't concentrate on one thing at a time ever in my life. I have carve-outs to allow me to do other projects, which is also to WWE's benefit because I'm locked into WWE as well. So I'm always going to be, that WWE guy is doing this outside project, and I would never do anything that would betray my deal with WWE because they went out of their way to make sure that I was here. I'm happy, I'm locked in, and we are mutually satisfied with each other's contributions to the coffer. What are your thoughts on Paul Heyman announcing that he has signed a long-term agreement that makes it sound like they went out of their way to make him happy with WWE?
Well, you know what this means? They're firing him next month. That's the only thing it can mean. There's too much love in the air. No, I'm happy to hear all of that. And think about this. Why would it be anything different? Paul Heyman is one of the keys for getting Brock Lesnar and or Roman Reigns over in the positions that they're in. He is able to help, I assume, when asked or when, asked to volunteer an opinion or a suggestion or whatever, with laying out some of these guys' matches like Goldberg, young guy, whatever the fuck. He can do other things. I don't know how he has all that energy, especially at his current body weight. But he can do other things that he wants. He's making a shit ton of money. He doesn't mind. He wants to work in that environment and travel all over the world and wear suits and do all that shit. So bless him. But yeah, they'd be crazy to let him go because he's been one of the high points of the program, and he'd be crazy to want to go anywhere. He may have led them to believe he would just simply, in the negotiation, because Paul's, the business genius like that. But why would he go to work for Tony Khan? And Tony Khan's his own booker. If he even had Heyman, he wouldn't let Heyman book that shit. because he can't not, because it's his lifelong dream. And so he's not going to let anybody who knows what they're doing do that job. So then Heyman would be a talent on television. And he's seen what happens to them. And even though he might be able to, well, he could tie Tony around his little finger because Paul's a professional manipulator, a.k.a. con man. And that's not even a knock there. It's just he could sell Tony Khan the glasses on his own face. And Paul Heyman would have Tony Khan do anything, have him doing anything that he wanted him to do and think it was his own idea. But then he would have to coexist in that atmosphere where it's a bunch of kids playing and he couldn't even be in charge of the goddamn romper room session. So Paul Heyman would fit in AEW like a screen door on a submarine, don't you think?
I think he would fit in anywhere he goes. But would he be used in a way that would make him happy? I don't know about that. With WWE, he's never going to be the booker. He's never going to be the owner.
He don't want to be the booker anymore because now it would be counterproductive.
But he gets to work with his guys, and his segments tend to be better because of it. Would he have all of that freedom, and what would he be in the middle of with AEW? And quite frankly, I think some guys still question the long-term viability of AEW, despite Tony's fandom. He's got a lot of things on his plate. He's somewhat frantic to begin with. So I think even if AEW is here for a long time, people still don't know what it's going to be in 3 years, 5 years. With WWE, there is, whatever we talk about with Vince selling the company or whoever will own it, you don't fear it's going away.
There's a certainty that the WWE in some form, in some fashion, will exist as an entity for quite some time to come. It's what you're saying, right?
That's what I'm saying. And Paul lives in the Northeast.
But the other side, we're not saying it's Tony Khan's stroke will determine how long AEW lasts.
Tony Khan gets bored with wrestling, AEW is done.
Tony Khan will never get bored with wrestling. Tony Khan will have a stroke, heart attack, brain aneurysm, or nervous breakdown or mental episode from the workload and the stress and the insanity of what he's trying to do when he's not really capable of it to begin with, and he adds more to his plate and the years roll on and there you go. But again, Heyman's too smart to ever want to book anything ever again, because right now that's the thing. Paul can lie and spin and manipulate and work and con and do the whole 9 yards and get out of anything. It's sort of like Lawler. Lawler being the Teflon king, nothing sticks to him. He flirted with TNA, Heyman did, and basically told Dixie, well, give me a piece of the ownership in the company and I'll turn it around for you, knowing that that was the one thing she would never give up at that point in time, because that way he'd be a babyface. His hands were clean. I tried, but they wouldn't give me the deal I wanted, because he knew not anything related to Paul's booking talent, lack thereof, or whatever. In that company, in that environment, even he could not turn it around and save it and rectify it and make it what it should be, because Dixie was still involved and all of the goofs that she'd put in charge of shit, and or just the things they didn't have in the company to begin with. So he got out of that, and everybody, he was the babyface. People think that he's the mad scientist and the genius. The fans, I mean. The bad personal interactions he's had in business with his ECW wrestlers didn't register with people as much as they still have the thought, wow, that was so great, he was the booking genius. And honestly, if you sit back now and watch some of the, as we mentioned, the ECW TVs from back then, they don't hold up as well, because it was all tied to whatever was hot at that particular point in time. But you could still see that Paul could get the most with the least on his talent.
Yeah, as
a booker, he could accentuate people's strong points.
As a booker, his best work may have actually been on SmackDown, not ECW, as a booker.
Yeah. But if he did anything now, because there's no situation where he would be in complete control again, and that means that he wouldn't be able to fucking probably help in a large way any of the product today, anywhere past what he's doing in WWE right now, behind the scenes. You don't really know what he's got his fingers on and what he doesn't. So as long as he doesn't book anything, besides he's fucking almost 60. What is he? 4 years younger than me? 4 or 5, whatever. He's in his mid-50s, looks older. Right now doesn't have to be in charge of a bunch of other people except the people he likes to work with, and doesn't have any of that stress on him, and is not doing something that will ruin his reputation, because they'll find out that even he can't save most of these modern wrestlers, so he's in a great place.
This makes me think of a question I had earlier when you talked about Brock on Raw and how he's out there, he's having a good time, and he doesn't have any pressure on him right now. Paul Heyman, this situation, not being the owner, not being the booker, having a job, being able to do creative things, it's probably a no-pressure situation for Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
How different are things today compared to 35, 40 years ago in wrestling in terms of pressure? Let's call it the workplace environment, but pressure in the workplace. How much different is it from a wrestler who would show up at the Irish Springfield Boys Club or at a Jim Crockett Promotions taping to a wrestler that shows up at Raw? Brock's at the point now where he doesn't have pressure, but how would you compare the pressure situations for a wrestler then versus now?
Then it was like a hand on your shoulder. Now it's like one of those machines that compresses coal into 10-carat diamonds automatically. I don't know why anybody want to be in this business now. This is the goddamnest bunch of bullshit I've ever seen in my life. To be quite honest with you, whoever you were, unless you were just a miserable person in the course of your life, when you got to the show, they paid you in the old days. They paid you for the travel and to fight the fans. And you wrestled usually for free because that was the fun. That was the fun part. There was some element of pressure on you at television tapings if you were in a big angle that you knew the territory would depend on, and you cared about your craft and the business, and you wanted to do the best you could. Some guys were so natural that they went out and they just did it and turned in stellar performances and never thought a thing about it. I mentioned one of the most relaxed people I've ever seen in my life is Jerry Lawler. I don't care if there was 1,000 people or 10,000 people out there, whether he was going to work a 2-minute match with Jimmy Hart in a gimmick or Terry Funk for 30 minutes double juice, it was all the same. Some guys would get amped up and get into the zone for their match or their angle or whatever, but at the same time, those same guys would be laughing and joking in the locker room, of which you only spent 3 hours in tops. You got there an hour before the show started, and show only lasted 2 hours, so there was camaraderie amongst the heels in one locker room, the babyface in the other, a bunch of joking and ribbing and bullshit. Occasionally somebody's pissed off about their payoff. Everybody went out and did their fucking match or their angle or their business or whatever. Just because you were doing more shit at television, there was, again, a little more, activity going on, but I wouldn't even call it pressure necessarily, unless you were the guy on top in the whole territory carrying the whole ball. And then, depending on your personality, if you were Jerry Lawler, you had no pressure. And if you were another different type of personality, you felt a little pressure, but not anything that would cause you misery in your life. Everybody knew where they stood. Everybody knew, I'm a main event guy in this territory, or I'm a job guy in this territory, or I'm an underneath or middle card guy in this territory, but the booker likes me, and if I keep working hard, he says he's going to move me up. Once you got there, you kind of knew what the money was going to be. So it wasn't like it was going to vary greatly from one week to the other that you'd be surprised about. I'm trying all the misery that these guys, not only now they're sitting in catering, they don't know whether they're going to be working next week or not, or they get these fucking ridiculous gimmicks. That's another thing. In the territory days, if you were going out to the ring or on television, you pretty much were on board with or had come up with your name and what you were wearing and your gimmick or whatever. You weren't going out and doing shit somebody else had told you to do that you couldn't stand. You just say, fuck it, I'll go to another territory. So, and these guys, and they've sit and sift through Twitter and all their social media to see if people are saying good things about them or bad things about them. That didn't even apply in the old days, but nobody would have give a shit if they had. Because if you were a heel, you wanted people to want you dead and to say horrible things about you and to be fucking following you away from the arena at night, trying to fucking run you off the road. You expected that. And if you were a babyface, there are a bunch of people are going to say a bunch of great shit about you, but some of them aren't. And to them, you become an asshole and say, fuck you, but you don't dwell on it. All of the pressure and the stress and you don't know about your job and you don't know about your money or you don't know about the independent shows. Or are they going to cancel or not? Or, are people going to be mean to me on social media because I'm wearing a goofy outfit and I've got a stupid name? All that shit's modern. Stress in the old days of making the trips, yeah, stressful. Whether it be flights or drives, that was stress. Checking in and out of these fucking motels, trying to get a rate. Making sure when you turned the light off, nothing was crawling around next to you. That was stress. If you came to the end of your run in one territory and you couldn't get booked anywhere else, even though there were 20-something places, that was stressful. But that was also probably a fucking sign from above. But all of the self-inflicted stress and the unnecessary stress and the confusion and the chaos of modern wrestling and the way that the guys are either chewed up and spit out for the evil empire or just conversely run around these independent shows like they're all just putting on a goddamn charity play in their local barn. I wouldn't be involved in this business now if it was like this when I got in it and I was starting from scratch. I wouldn't do this for a fucking $10 million. Just since you asked me.
One other big difference, of course, is the road life. You put so many miles on your car driving from place to place. The one good thing about nowadays is if your mechanic needed an auto part, or if, let's say, Dennis Condrey wanted to change a tire for you, he can get the parts he needs very easily.
Well, that is a problem sometimes back in the territory days with all the trips we took. I remember when we broke down in Star City, Arkansas, on the way to Little Rock. After an afternoon event, we were going to Little Rock that night for the last Stampede. We were in Dennis Condrey's van, and we broke down because it was something to do with the alternator. And try to find an alternator or somebody to work on same in Star City, Arkansas on a Sunday afternoon at 2:00. Thankfully, there was a lawnmower repair shop with 3 good old boys sitting outside drinking a sociable cocktail when we skittered to a halt, and we were able to get that fixed and get to the show and make history. But folks, no matter what parts you need for your car, don't go to Star City, Arkansas. Do not trust lawnmower repair people. Go to rockauto.com. No matter what your make, no matter what your model, no matter what your budget, they've got something for you because they stock all the parts your car will ever need. Not like the traditional chain storefronts that have 3 parts hanging on the wall and you got to have one of those or elsewise you're out of luck. Why spend all the money that they overcharge you with these markups of 50 and 100% when rockauto.com's prices are reliably low and the same for everybody? And if you're brave enough to want to try to fix your car, although I'll be honest with you, I would not ride in any automobile that I had a part in fixing. But if you can, you'll save a bunch of money. RockAuto.com's a family business. They've been serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. And they carry stuff from hundreds of manufacturers, engine control modules, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, new carpet. I understand, Brian, that you've carpeted the entire New Last Manor in carpet available at RockAuto.com. It looks amazing.
Well, that's not entirely true, but they do have great stuff over there at RockAuto.com.
That's true. And also you've got Jimmy Valiant's disease. Whenever the bottom of your feet hit the car carpet, you instantly go to sleep. RockAuto.com. The catalog is unique and remarkably easy to navigate. And the best of all, as we mentioned, the prices are reliably low. You don't want to spend too much, and you can go to RockAuto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck or motorcycle or boat or amphibious vehicle or tank or armored car or Brinks truck. And if you write JCE in their How Did You Hear About Us box, well, we'll just thank you and it'll be swell. You won't get any discount. This shit's already so cheap, they can't do that. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com.
That's right, and we'll rock the listeners with more questions. .com. Jim, another popular topic that a lot of people have been sending us stuff about as we are recording right now. I guess it's almost a two-part conversation. Did you see the MJF interview that he did on Ariel Helwani's podcast?
I did not know that this was going to be a bone of contention in the news, and so did not watch that. However, I have heard that it since then has inflamed some of the relations that he has in his current company. So maybe we better recap it.
Well, I have some quotes here specific to the conversation about MJF's AEW contract, which expires January 1st, 2024. This is not an angle. This is a shoot. His contract really expires on that date. And I think that's one of the issues that blurs a lot of lines here. Here's what he said in the interview. So when you're as talented, as over, and as much of a draw as me, if I want, I could bite off Tony Khan's fingers. He knows where his bread is buttered. And if that offends somebody in the locker room, which I know it does, oh well, cry about it. Get more over than me. Oh wait, that's right, you can't. Because I'm literally the best talker in the business and one of the best wrestlers in the history of the business, bell to bell. Because I don't just spam moves like I'm in a video game. I make people feel something because I'm going out there to win. I'm not going out there to show off. I'm not going out there to try and make sure that I get these people to talk about my star ratings. No. If that happens, and it's a byproduct of what I do, fantastic. But I didn't get into this business to hit moves. I got into this business to make money. That's why I got into this business. So that's why I'm not afraid to talk about when my contract is up, January 1st, 2024, and I'm not afraid to stir that pot. And then the other quotes of note, at least here.
Let me just hold on here. Let me just, before we go any further. Hold on, wait a minute. Where is it? I got to get it there. This guy's brilliant. What a fucking heel and what a brain. He has figured out a way here where he can get heel heat from the fans that the most devoted AEW fans and still not even break kayfabe while talking about the business of the wrestling business. He's not saying that it's phony or it's real or anything in between. He's probably pissing off some of the marks that he shares the locker room with because a bunch of that roster should be sitting out in the stands. But he's goddamn being a pompous, obnoxious heel. And the ones that are taking the most offense to it are the AEW fans because he's threatening to leave them for more money and go to without even saying it, go to the evil empire. Or he's just knocking their favorite wrestlers without even mentioning anybody's name. by obviously describing their goofy styles that everybody looks to say, this is what sets him apart. He's a pompous, obnoxious heel making these comments, getting heat with the marks and also with the ones in the locker room. And it doesn't matter whether wrestling is a work or not. You still believe this guy's an asshole. He's perfect.
Well, some more quotes here from this interview specific to this talk about his contract and where he would sign in a couple of years. Talking about the WWF interest, or WWE, I keep doing that, WWE interest.
Same thing.
Again, I know for a fact, it's already been leaked several times, and even if it wasn't leaked, I would have known, but legally, I cannot discuss why. I will be wherever the money is. I am leaning, but I cannot say which way, but I'm certainly leaning. There's a front runner. There's a he's not saying anything. It's brilliant.
I know.
There's a front runner, and I'm not quite sure it's the one people would expect, but yes, there's a front runner. And then the other one, and here it is, talking about Bruce Pritchard. Bruce and me, and this is a shoot, Bruce Pritchard and me go way back. When he was at MLW...
Way back to 4 years ago.
When he was at MLW, he was one of the lead producers there. And he would watch me do promos, and he was floored by me. Absolutely enamored by me. I was the prettiest girl at the ball. I love Bruce. I think Bruce is a hell of a guy, and has a hell of a mind. I think he produces incredible television. So yes, I've talked to Bruce multiple times. As far as have I been reached out to by WWE, legally, it's not smart for me to answer that question. But what I can say emphatically is there is an absurd amount of interest in me. Tony Khan knows that. Tony Khan claims he is not afraid of that, and that's good. So I hope you're not afraid to spend a lot of fucking money. And there it is, MJF on his upcoming contract, January 1st, 2024.
If I was Tony Khan, I would have sent him a check for $5,000 just for doing that fucking interview.
Well, we will talk momentarily about Tony Khan's reaction to this interview.
But that, again, the guy's brilliant. It's updated, modern version of the heel taunting the people that he's better than you and you know it. He's talking about the obscene amount of money people are going to pay for him. His good friend over at the company that everybody hates with a passion. This is perfect heel work to make people believe in you rather than just whatever the fuck character he's portraying on television, and to get heat with all those statements will get the most heat with the people that he wants the heat with the most. Well, and also some of the wrestlers in his locker room because they're marks too. But primarily, the AEW fans will be tying the fucking nooses and pulling out the pitchforks over shit like that.
Well, Jim, another story that emerged coming out of the MJF interview with Ariel Helwani was reportedly Tony Khan got really upset about it. And I saw one article that had a heated discussion with MJF. I saw another one that said a yelling match with MJF. Apparently, the reason Tony Khan was upset about the interview is because it wasn't cleared by AEW's PR team.
Oh, come on.
It was booked independent of them. It's not about the content of the interview, but it's about how it was booked.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm on Meet the Press on NBC television to fucking publicize our company. Oh gosh, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't be on network TV giving us publicity. We booked you over here at a quilting bee at the rest home. Bullshit. I told you he was going to piss the marks off. Well, guess who the biggest mark was that got pissed? Either Tony Khan or Tony Khan is indignant on behalf of the other marks in his locker room that got pissed. How could he be saying those things? How could he be talking like that? It's bad for the company, Tony. Either one or more of the marks on his talent roster in his locker room, or Tony Khan, the HMIC, head mark in charge, is the one that's upset. But they're saying it's because he didn't clear the interview. They can't say it's because you said that you're more valuable than everybody else here on the roster, and they all got mad about it, and that you teased going to work for Vince, and I'm mad about that. So we're going to say it's because your interview wasn't cleared. So I wonder how many of his interviews he clears. I know they do it in the WWE, and that's been a long-standing tradition. But one would think that since almost everybody on the AEW roster came from the pool of independence, as they say, that they just do interviews every time somebody asks them to open their mouth. I wonder how many he has done before and not cleared, and this just came up, if that's a case.
Do you think, because I can't imagine the real reason that Tony got this upset, allegedly, would have been just because it wasn't cleared by PR. Because again, I've seen a lot of MJF interviews. I've seen other guys. Are all these interviews cleared by AEW PR? I don't know. But do you think maybe there's a bigger picture here? The idea that they're talking about money, they're talking about contracts, there are rumors about guys being upset or not happy with their money, the way they're being used. There are stories about wrestlers just not hearing back from the company again and they're gone.
Yeah.
What do you...
All of that. All of that. It's because obviously some of the other guys in the locker room are ticked off about what he said, and in their minds somehow this is a bad thing. It's like, oh, everybody's got to be committed to AEW. We're all in this together. We're going to go down with the ship, or whatever the case. Tony has already had one of his EVPs leave because he couldn't get Punk money. And he's got a bunch of other contracts coming up, and he's obviously very reticent to tell people, hey, I don't have none for you anymore, which is one of the bigger parts of being a wrestling booker. You don't just hire them, you fire them. And it can be nice, or it can be caustic, or whatever, any grade in between, but you always got to fire somebody. And Tony Khan is just, well, it's like they used to joke in Memphis that when Lawler was booking, he'd bring 40 guys into territory, but he wouldn't ever really fire anybody. He'd just only book you twice a week and give you the idea to just leave. But this is crazy to begin with, because Tony's probably got all this stress on him because one of the VPs left because he couldn't get Punk money, and everybody else's contract is coming up, and the ones that he wants want more money, and the ones that he doesn't want are mad at him because he won't talk to them, and he probably doesn't want this even though this kind of contract talk that MJF was doing in that interview, and this kind of talk in general, is what gets more interest on your heel and or more interest in your business. But because Tony has all these other problems with everybody else because he can't handle it, because he doesn't have the experience, didn't know they were going to come up, apparently, to begin with, we've been predicting for 3 years, there's going to be a problem. He can't keep all these fuckers. He's probably a little red ass about it, and somebody else probably wound him up to try to get some heat on MJF because they don't like that MJF is in a more prominent position than they are because of whatever, because reasons, as they say. It's a goddamn, you can't know what's going on anytime in a situation like this unless you're right in the middle of it. But because it's a wrestling business and I've been in the middle of situations like this, I can assure you that there's a lot more goddamn consternation, conflict, bad talk, backstabbing, and general verbal burying of people going on behind the scenes than you would ever dream of. And that's a blanket statement I can make about any wrestling company and be correct.
In regards specifically to MJF and Tony Khan, it's kind of interesting. You see this in sports more than in wrestling. An athlete announcing, or you know that an athlete's contract is coming up. Maybe the team tries to renegotiate during spring training. Like, we've seen things like this happen. If MJF, and we've never heard about him signing an extension or anything, if he's still tied to the same contract he would have come to AEW with, and he's one of the guys, despite how talented he is, I would think he's one of those guys that got lumped in with a lot of the other indie guys.
Yeah.
They got those early 6-figure deals. if he's still tied to that deal, and in the last few years has shown his value, not just in terms of critical acclaim, but he is one of those guys that moves the numbers from everything we've ever seen, the data we've seen. He's someone who moves the numbers. If he's still tied to that original contract, and all these guys have come in, these WWE guys, these cast-offs, and they're getting more money off the bat, and he still has a year and a half to go, and he's determined to go to free agency to see the most amount of money he can get on the open market, do you do anything to him or for him for the next year and a half? Do you keep him? If that is in fact the story, if that is in fact where he's at with that original contract, do you keep him there? Or do you say, you know what? Over the past 3 years, you've established yourself as a top guy in this company. We still have to renegotiate. I consider you a top guy. Let's do something a little differently. And you're not extending the contract, but you're getting to that point in maybe a more favorable way for the wrestler.
Well, and we know that MJF was under contract to MLW, which is where I first met him. And that was in 2000. He signed it, I guess, in 2018 because he was still under contract in 2019 when I was there with the doing the color for a brief period of time. At the same time, he was already, that was one of the deals that they worked out. There was a number of MLW talents that were appearing or making shots or getting set for the AEW thing, but they worked that at so instantly. MJF got a massive upgrade because I don't know what his MLW contract was, and I didn't ask. I didn't expect him to tell me, but it was obviously pennies on the dollar compared to what he got here, because we did hear from a variety of different sources that Tony Khan was signing guys that had been on the independents, and I mean, Dwarf Dong Sucker, all these people, you heard they were getting 5 times or more what they'd ever gotten from anybody else in the wrestling business, because Tony was sold a bill of goods with some financial irresponsibility from his advisors, not telling him that he was overpaying these guys through the roof. So MJF got a massive upgrade there, but that's still a massive upgrade for MJF from MLW money 3 years ago. Even if it's a couple $100,000 a year or 3 or whatever it is in no way commensurate with the value that he's brought to the company over the last 3 years, to the television programs, the way he's been featured, the performances he's been turned in. He's I mean, there's always going to be somebody in a wrestling company making a ridiculous amount of money more than almost everybody else for no good reason. Sable had $1 million a year. That says it all. That's just offensive on any level. But MJF's smart and he knows his worth and he knows how young he is and he knows what he's been doing. If I was Tony Khan and that's possibly a little bit of this issue, and I was hearing these interviews being said, and we used to call it, whether it's ribbon on the square or there's a little bit of hidden shoot in that work or whatever the case, I'd start talking to him now. And I'd say, Max, obviously, and it actually wouldn't have hurt if I'd have done that a year ago. If I would go to a guy, because I was usually honest. I was usually honest with guys that I really wanted to keep, and I wouldn't lie to them, but I would be more honest than I would to just anybody and saying, look, I know so-and-so's making X dollars. That was a deal I didn't make as before I got here, or I've got buyer's remorse and we're going to fix it or whatever. But you start sitting down with a guy and saying, look, I know on your deal, you're surpassing your deal. I'm going to bonus you here. Why? Has Tony Khan bonused MJF for anything over the last year or two? He should have, because when you're paying these fucking people with the physiques of lepers, the diminutive outlaw mud show comedy goofs, you've got 6 or 8 of them on the roster, and you're paying them $100,000 a piece or $50,000 a piece or whatever. Any smart guy on the roster can say, well, there's $500,000 he's just wadding up and throwing out the window just to have somebody he gets a kick out of for some reason on a show. It matters not to anybody. so he could be paying me a lot more money because I'm pulling some fucking weight. That's the feelings that start cropping up when the wrestlers know that there's, if not unlimited, there's plenty of money at the top. When it was a territory, it was Continental Wrestling, well, you know you're going to get what you get and you're going to like it or you're going to leave. But there's more to be gotten here. So if I was Tony, I would have already bonused MJF for a few of these pay-per-views. I would have already been talking to him about, hey, let's tear this thing up and redo it. You're a valuable guy, and we want to keep you around here. I mean, they did, Jim Ross did that a number of times.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you. Does that happen a lot in wrestling? Because, like, in the music industry, you know, over at Epic Records, Pearl Jam had a pretty shitty deal. I mean, most bands do. But after that first record took off after a while, they renegotiated, ripped up their deal, and for the rest of their career, had a sweetheart deal for them. In baseball, it's happened where a contract is ripped up or extended with more money thrown for the time that was still under contract. Players can now opt out and renegotiate. Was that something that's happened in wrestling, or is that something that happens in wrestling?
Yes. Jim Ross has done it on more than one occasion when something happened that was unforeseen, when somebody got over and was still on an old deal. And because here's the way Vince McMahon thinks about it. And I don't know what they're doing these days, because even the underneath guys have pretty fucking healthy fucking deals, right? But there was some cases back in the Attitude Era when you had a guy that was, you know, came in on a, you know, $75,000 deal, and suddenly, I mean, the ringmaster was only, 6 months removed from Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock, probably, they didn't back the Brinks truck up to get The Rock because he had, I believe, as we've mentioned, $7 in his fucking pocket. But 18 months after The Rock debuted at Survivor Series 96, I don't think he was working on the same contract. If you know Vince McMahon, if he knows that a guy has suddenly overachieved and is hot and is on a bad deal, he may look at it like, oh, wow, I'm really getting a value out of this guy. But he's not that stupid. He also would look at it like, or Jim Ross or somebody would bring to his attention, we're fucking so-and-so up the ass because he's still on this. So they'd get him in and say, okay, things have changed. And they would try to get something that was still beneficial to the company, or not burdensome or onerous on the company, but more beneficial to the talent, and also so that he would stay in a better frame of mind about the company. Do you keep a guy working on $75,000 a year when he's in the main events just because he's signed and you can? Or is the last year that he's drawing an immense amount of money and being featured and still getting paid like a field hand, does he gradually harbor so much resentment toward that situation that he's either going to be a complete prick when it comes time to renegotiate, or just say, fuck you, I'm gone now that I'm a star? So you try to preemptively strike with the guy by saying, look, let's do this, and let's give you a better deal, and let's, give you more money commensurate with your position, because now you're still trying to tie him up for longer. And at this point, MJF may say, well, we'll just see what happens. Or Tony can make the big fucking offer, but then he's going to have a problem with the rest of his egotistical fucking locker room, who all thinks, some with justification, some with absolutely none, that they should be the highest paid guy in the company, which is why that Bischoff had to keep raising Hall and Nash in WCW every time he'd get another high-priced star, because they had a favored nations clause and had to be the highest paid guys in the company, or equal to. So I mean, I've said before, been saying for 25 years, the guaranteed contracts past a guaranteed minimum and the opportunity to make more than that is the biggest thing. One of the biggest things that led to the downfall of wrestling, because then nobody has to worry about actually going out and drawing any money, selling any tickets, or getting any ratings. They just have to worry about their check. But since it is what it is, that's what we're working with. And I would not let a guy as talented and as young and as valuable as MJF languish on an underneath contract while he's one of the shining points of the company. I would start preemptively trying to say, Max, let's work something out. You've always got a home here. And you know what? If Chris Jericho's 52 years old and he don't like the money I'm paying MJF, maybe Chris Jericho needs to retire. Because that's another, you can't have guys that you've got 2 or 3 years left to get out of, if you're going to be in business for a long period of time, preventing you or hindering you in signing guys that you could capitalize on for 5 and 10 years. And Tony's got himself in this position because he didn't know what people were worth to begin with, and he gave out some deals that increased everybody's expectations and or fostered some ill will when there's a bunch of guys in that locker room sitting there going, he's paying. And I know Pockets is my go-to whipping boy because it's shit on network television. He's shit. It's shit. Everything about him is shit. And I can't believe people are paying him at all. But at least some of the demented AEW fans buy his fucking T-shirts. They got a way to make a couple of dollars back off of him. But with the rest of that dreck that Tony signed straight out of the mud shows, all that's done for him is give him some bad television, and guys that know that they're really actually talented and can make money in the business think they're worth more money than the job guys, obviously. But now they've got job guys, people that don't even have any business in a ring, making 6 figures. So they think they're worth much more. He's got himself into all this. I think he needs to start talking to Maxwell Jacob Friedman tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And don't stop talking until he's got him signed to a contract that Max is happy with for the next 7 years or so.
Or perhaps January 1st, 2024, Tony Khan loses his Max and has to make a phone call to remember the good times, has to go and get a oil painting done of some of the great moments him and MJF had in their negotiations. And of course, we know a place he can go to get that painting made, Jim.
That's exactly right. You can see it now hanging on the wall, a big 3x4 foot job in an ornate frame. And there is Tony Khan with his hand around MJF's shoulder, and they're smiling, and there's our little dog Pockets in the back with his hand in both of their pockets, trying to steal their money, because that's all he's ever been doing is stealing from AEW when he was on the program. But yes, Tony Khan, you got to go to the folks at paintyourlife.com, because if you're going to lose all your talent that are constantly wanting raises, then you've got to have something to remember them by, and that's what Paint Your Life can give you, folks. Something to remember anything by. Make new memories in a brand new world, and then turn them into art that lasts forever, courtesy of Paint Your Life, where you're traveling and taking vacations, having birthdays, anniversaries, weddings. These are great gift ideas. Or you can get a painting of the birthday, or a painting of the anniversary, or a painting of the wedding. What about if you got a painting of the people that just got married standing there next to each other looking at their wedding picture? It'd be like one of those Superman Infinity covers where he's in the barber chair getting his hair clipped, and he's reading the magazine where he's on the cover in a barber's chair getting his hair clipped, and go on down the line with Paint Your Life. From any photograph, they can create a professional hand-painted portrait or combine pictures of people or places you love into one painting. And you can choose from a team of world-class artists and work with them till the details are perfect. It's a user-friendly platform. And you can receive your portrait in as little as 2 weeks. Think about this. You may have taken 50 years to make these memories, and they can paint you a picture of it and send it to you in as little as 2 weeks. Boy, you went through a lot of trouble for that, didn't you? Anyway, whether it's your children, yourself, your family, a special place, a cherished pet, a lost loved one, even an action shot of you in action, whatever action that might be. Do you want to put this picture in the bedroom, the living room, the repository or suppository or whatever that place is where you go and reflect on life? It makes the perfect gift for anybody. Right now, at paintyourlife.com, there's no risk. If you don't love the final painting, your money is refunded. Of course, if your relatives are all ugly, there's nothing they can really do about that, and there's no ugly refund. But everything else is guaranteed. And right now, for a limited time offer, get 20% off your painting. That's right, 20% off and free shipping if you text the word DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000. That's DRIVE to 64000, DRIVE to 64,000. Once again, 20% off and free shipping and a money-back guarantee, once again, unless your relatives are ugly. And if you take 20% off, you can take 20% of the charge off, or you can tell the folks at Paint Your Life, take 20% off your fat aunt and make her a little thinner. You can apply that 20% in a variety of ways. Message and data rates may apply. Terms apply. Available at paintyourlife.com/terms. 20% off fat people.
Well, Jim, we will paint on here this week on the Drive-Thru, and let's talk a little bit about the WWE Hall of Fame, because word has come out, surprising to some, the WWE will be inducting the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott Steiner, in the 2022 class.
Well, nobody can say they don't deserve it, but that is a stunning reversal from, what was it, 5 years ago? They had Scott Steiner's picture up at the back door saying, call the police if you see this man at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Now he's being inducted. Reversal. I mean, I'm happy. I've always liked the Steiners. I like Rick and Scott. We always liked working with them. I thought they were a fantastic team. They deserve being in the Hall of Fame, especially with some of the other choices that they've made over the years. And so I have no argument with that whatsoever. But I wonder which one. Well, a lot of things have happened. Was Scotty's heat more with Triple H than it was with Vince? Were they able to isolate that to that so Vince could stand back and be the great peacemaker at some point? And also with Rick's son, the incomparable Braun Steiner, being the next big major superstar in wrestling, they probably, I would think, Rick's more level-headed. He always, believe it or not, the dog-faced gremlin, the guy that spoke to invisible people in the sky that floated around over his shoulder, he's the more level-headed one. And they probably talked to him, I would think. He probably talked to his brother. Hey, it's my son, your nephew. Let's all sing Kumbaya. I guess it happens. And maybe because, again, this thing has happened with Triple H. A lot of the guys that were, real friends and owed something to Triple H and looked up to him and were close to him, they may be ticked off, but this may have opened a few other doors for some people that just had, outstanding heat. But I can't argue with the choice, but I think it's fucking hilarious that, will this be the only time ever? Maybe it'll happen in a couple of years with Will Smith at the Oscars in reverse. Before he was allowed at the Oscars, now there's the picture of him at the back door. Police, call him if he comes. But now in reverse, Steiner was banned and now he's inducted. I like it.
In terms of the Steiner brothers as a tag team, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, for a few years there, they were innovative, they were powerful, they had places going crazy. You go back and watch the crowd reactions in WCW, some of those Steiner brother matches. What do you think their place is in wrestling history? Because they didn't have a 10-year run. And as far as being the elite tag team that they were, it was about 4 or 5 years that they were elite. Hate to use that term, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. The cream of the crop.
What do you think the Steiner brothers, where do you think their place in wrestling history is?
Oh, God. At first, everybody thought Rick was going to be a big, everybody knew even when Rick was just the dog-faced gremlin, and even before that in Mid-South, when he was just starting, they knew he was going to be good. And then in the Varsity Club, he was the guy they focused on because he just had that natural charisma, and that's one of those things where the fans started it. Kevin Sullivan knew little ways and little tricks that he could get attention on a guy like Steiner who could, had personality and could carry the ball. And he gave him little quirks and things and then just let him run off with it by himself. And everybody knew Rick was going to be a star. But as it turned out, I think Rick was better in a tag team. That was his environment. And especially when Scotty came along. Remember, we've talked when Scotty came along, he was the little brother. And everybody thought that Rick was the guy. And Scott was a little greener at first, obviously. But then Scott, after the tag team, and honestly, by then, injuries and age was modifying his style, but he became the second coming of superstar Billy Graham and ended up being the single star that people at the start, before Scott even got in the business, thought Rick would be. Rick, I think, fit better in a tag team. He wasn't the guy or I'm not even saying it right, but Rick was one of those guys that as great as he wasn't going to be a main event singles guy to the level that Scott was, because Scott found that personality and completely transformed his look and himself. He always had the physique. But then, when he got injuries, he went crazy with the physique because he couldn't do the wild shit you were talking about anymore that the Steiners did when they were innovative. But anyway, having said that, tremendous tag team. Then Scott went on and had a great singles career. Unfortunately, spent quite a bit of time in TNA, but we've all got the skeletons in our closet. And Rick, honestly, he's the one that got out of wrestling quicker. And not only is he a businessman, but also he's run for office down in Georgia on a local level and is an upstanding member of the community. Who would have thought it? So, but Hall of Fame in anybody's book. And the tag team matches, I've said, Rick and Scott were like if the Road Warriors were agile. And yes, Hawk and Animal were agile for guys that size, but neither one of them's going to do any Frankensteiners. And the suplexes and the control they had. You see it now in Braun Steiner, and I've talked about it. He's strong enough, just like his dad and uncle were. They looked dangerous, but they were so strong they could pick you up, turn you around in the air, and put you down in the right place and not hurt you. And they were like the Road Warriors in a lot of ways. That I loved the Midnight Express matches. We loved working with the Steiners. A lot of people didn't, because they would just beat them up. But the thing is, you not only had to be a good worker and then you could hang with the Steiners, but also it was the same with the Road Warriors. They got over better when they were against heel teams that were smaller and could fly for them and had heat. And the people wanted to see the heel team get beat up by these big shooter Steiner brothers. And that's the Midnight Express matches were so easy with them because they respected Bobby and Stan to fly for them and to call all their shit and said, let the boys handle the matches. And that the Bobby and Stan would take bumps for them and fly for them. If we took over, it was 2-on-1 or it was me using the racket behind their back. They would sell for shit like that because it didn't make them look bad or look weak. They were being cheated. They were, we were not playing fair. And then the big comebacks, the hot tag and the big comeback, that was our specialty. And that's what the people were so with them, the Steiners, that the response was there already. And when you could really have an exciting action match, tear the house down with them, the place would go insane. When they had other teams like the Nasty Boys, those were, what JR you say, those were bowling shoe ugly matches. They weren't as pretty exciting, but they were still exciting because even if they were ugly matches, they weren't any fun for the participants to be in, but the fans liked watching them because the Nasty Boys, even though they were heels, and even though, let's face it, they were the furthest thing from in any kind of physical condition, the Nasty Boys. They were fat fucks, right? That was their whole gimmick. We're nasty boys. We're fat, drooling slobs. But they had to work strong. They didn't just fly for people because they were working like they were badasses. So those matches with the Steiners and the Nasty Boys, they wouldn't just take a regular working clothesline and fly. Steiners had to put them down. And then they'd come back with shit. So those were fun for the people to watch, but it was a hard night at work because they were slobber knockers. But that's the Steiners. They could work old school with an old school heel team, or they could go to Japan and just, because they were such great amateurs and they were in such shape, they could stretch fucking guys and or not sell and smash mouth offense the Japanese guys or deal with a team like the Nasty Boys or whatever. It wasn't like the Rock and Roll Express couldn't have had the smash mouth match with the Nasty Boys. And the Nasty Boys couldn't necessarily work well enough to have a great match with the Rock and Roll Express. But the Steiners could do both because they had the size and the technique. I mean, you knew something was going to go on when the Steiners were in the ring. Chances are the match was not going to be bad or boring. It's just a question of what style they were working at the time. But, you know, yeah, they were innovative because they could come up with that shit. They always rode together. They're brothers. They'd grown up together. And they had kind of a knowledge of their teamwork stuff was the same thing as we used to do with the Midnight. And I've said every great team would do. They'd find something that each one could do, and then they'd figure out a way for the other one to get in on it. Rick did that great bulldog off the top rope. Well, let's let Scott pick the fucking guy up on his shoulders. Holy shit. And it was scary in a lot of cases what they were doing, but if you knew what was going on and you let them do their thing, they were safe with you, unless it was like, again, the Nasty Boys. They dropped them on their heads a lot of times on that shoulder ride bullshit because there's 300 pounds of fat up there. And that was dangerous. But I never had any issue with the Steiners physically, and neither did the Midnight because, you know, it was a different kind of match and we weren't trying to fight them tooth and nail. But they were great at everything.
And we'll be watching one of their matches shortly.
Yes, we will, shortly, because the watch-alongs are getting popular because nobody wants to watch along with what's being shown on TV lately.
And the match we're going to be watching, just to give everyone a heads up, an interesting one. It ties in this conversation, the Steiner Brothers, with last week's watch-along, Piper versus Bret Hart, a babyface versus babyface match.
Yeah.
From Super Brawl 1. Really a dream match if you think about it, if you were a WCW fan at the time. The Steiner Brothers versus Sting and Lex Luger.
And this is maybe not as well remembered as it ought to be, but it's, again, as you said, an interesting match and something that shows that, you know, the Steiners, at that time, they did very few of these babyface matches in WCW, and usually it was a tournament kind of thing. But they could switch up, and their shit was kind of evergreen. As long as it was Steiner shit, there was different Steiner shit that they could do with baby faces and with heels and with different kind of teams, but the people always liked it because it always fit the Steiners. They weren't going out there trying to do Ricky Steamboat arm drags. That wasn't their thing.
And you'll see, and we'll talk about it when we watch the match, just the presence they had just walking to the ring even. But Jim, let's stay on the topic of the Hall of Fame. This question was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Scott in Florida. He sent in a quote from Nikki Bella about the Hall of Fame. Wanted to get your thoughts on it. Here's a quote from Nikki Bella. And I'm also so excited that the WWE Universe will be welcoming Vader into the Hall of Fame. Hold on, I'm trying not to smile.
I swear, this was not where I thought that was going to go right off the bat.
I always get excited for men of that generation to come to the Hall of Fame because they have the most incredible stories we've ever heard. Excuse me.
Oh my God.
We've never heard.
Dead?
Wait, hold on. Let me go back. They have the most incredible stories we've never heard. And I always love when those men take the stage and the women. And from the era of wrestling that was so iconic and so historic. So, I'm really excited for Vader to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
She doesn't know he's dead.
And just to have his presence there and hear
my God.
And hear his speeches.
Oh my God.
Why is Nikki Bella commenting on Vader?
How old is this woman?
Oh, she's got to be in her mid-30s at least, I would think.
How did they get in the wrestling business, the Bellas? Where did they come from? How did they become wrestlers?
I might be wrong, and please correct me if I am, and someone will, but I believe their future father-in-law, John Laurinaitis, because he married their mother, found them in a swimsuit catalog.
When he was doing the lingerie catalog business?
I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that's how they were found.
Oh, Christ. No wonder. Well, and see, when
either that or a cattle call. I was one of the two, but they weren't like, oh my God.
Well, say what you want about the Bellas, but they don't look like cattle.
But they didn't go to, Slammers Wrestling Gym or anything.
Apparently, they didn't ever see wrestling and haven't noticed that it was a thing since they've been in it. Fucking hell. In OVW, we got the stories that Laurinaitis, this was 2004-ish, 5-ish, and he did it for a few years, would look through lingerie and swimsuit catalogs for the divas and find their agents and sign them. He sent a couple of them to OVW. I've told a story. The one girl started running the ropes and got faint and had to sit down, and I don't think we ever saw her again. So that's believable. But shouldn't somebody have told her that this is a posthumous induction before she started ranting about how much she loves hearing stories from people of that generation? Apparently not too many. She does not love hearing stories about too many of them. Is she the one married to Danielson?
No, that's her sister. She was the one that was dating Cena for a long time.
Well, fuck, you'd think either one of them, just by osmosis, would have been able to impart something into the wind tunnel known as the brain of the Bellas. Good Lord. Twin Sables.
Oh,
Here
stop it. Stop it.
Come on.
I would hope that no one says anything and that someone can go up to her and go, "Hi, I'm Vader. I just really wanted to meet you and say hello and thanks for your comments."
Yes, thank you for everything you said.
I'm happy to have your presence here. It's not about my presence, it's your presence.
They're the Joe Franklin line. I've been a fan of yours for many years. You remember Joe Franklin? You're a New York asshole,
of course
right?
I am. I have one of his books, yeah.
Okay, the Hall of Fame ceremony in 1996 when they put the Valiant brothers in. I remember that specifically. He's at the goddamn, the party or whatever the thing they're having in catering, Joe Franklin. I believe they did it at the Marriott downtown in New York City. And anyway, Joe Franklin, for those of you and the rest of the world who are younger, had a local television talk show in New York on, what was it, WOR, Channel 9?
Channel 9, yeah.
For what, 75 years from the dawn of television until he decomposed.
Very long time, but not that
Institution
long.
But he's in showbiz, right? So there's Terry Runnels, is Marlena. And she's been Marlena for what, like 6 months at that point? And Joe Franklin walks up to her and she's dressed up as Marlena, the gold jacket. She's holding the cigar. She looks great and everything. And he goes up and shakes hands with her. He says, "I've been a fan of yours for many years. She'd only been Marlena for 6 months. He had no idea she'd been in the wrestling business before that. Fucking, what was it, Alexandria York or whatever? He's just, that's what he said to everybody. I've been a fan of yours for many years. What was the question?
By the way, here's what's not said enough. Better looking as Alexandria York than as Marlena.
Actually, she was, because the Marlena was supposed to be so over the top and severe that she was more classically attractive as Alexandra York. Although, when Pillman won her right before that Bad Blood pay-per-view, and we'd done the vignettes where he had made her over a bit and gothed her up a little and sleazed her out.
All right, well, before this gets too sleazy, let's move on.
Yeah.
Here. You're getting too comfortable over there in your chair. I can hear it right here.
You can hear it squeaking,
I
can't
can
you?
hear what's going on. But Jim, let's move on. We have some breaking news.
Breaking news!
From the world of WWE. An article from Inside the Ropes, their website, itrwrestling.com. The headline...
Hello, Kenny McIntosh, my good friend.
The headline, Jim. Lana hits out at toxic WWE for brainwashing her.
What? Wait. She's been brainwashed. Not only, I have so many questions. How did they find it? Where did they get a little tiny brush like that could wash something that small?
Well, before we talk about the size of her brain, let's actually get to the substance of this article, written by James Holder. Here it is. Former WWE star Lana has lashed out at the company, branding the work environment toxic and claiming all they wanted her to do was wear pink and get her ass kicked. CJ Perry, formerly known as Lana during her time in WWE, has hit out at the company in a new post on social media. The star joined WWE in 2013, managing the man who would later become her real-life husband, Rusev, now known as Miro in AEW.
Miro! So this chick, she's the fake Russian, right? She was Russian, and then she exposed the business and blew the whole thing by just dropping the accent.
Well, she was the ravishing Russian, which may not go over well today, but I believe she actually is... Her family is from, I don't know where she's from, but someone told me she actually is either Bulgarian or something. Like, it's a shoot. The accent was a work.
Yeah.
But she may
I don't care. I don't care if she came from goddamn, fucking Web City. If she had an accent on TV and then she stopped using the accent, well, she's the shits. If you're going to use an accent, you better keep it. Because elsewise it's phony. But go ahead.
Following a successful stint alongside Rusev all the way to the upper echelons of the main roster, Lana also began to appear as a wrestler, mainly at live events.
Remember, we saw a couple of those, didn't we?
After Miro was released, in 2020, Lana transitioned into being a full-time, on-screen, in-ring performer via a short-lived storyline with Bobby Lashley. However, Lana was released June 2nd, 2021, alongside the likes of Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, and Ruby Riott, amongst others.
Boy, what do all those names have in common that Lana doesn't? Even Tony didn't want her. And her husband works there.
Posting on Instagram to celebrate her recent birthday, Perry thanked fans for their birthday wishes before looking back at her time in WWE. She shouted out a number of people who helped her during her run with the company, while also hitting out WWE as a whole. And let me scroll down. There's a lot here. And here she posted a photo of her ass. Hold on.
Hey, that's always good to make a point. Hey, you think I'm lying? Here's a picture of my ass.
There are girls I've known for years, and all of a sudden, like on Facebook, I'll go check in, like a photo be like, oh my God, that's just her ass. Like, what the fuck's she posting this for? I'll never see her the same way again. I'll just see that ass. But anyway, here's what Lana had to say. Thank you all for the amazing birthday wishes. Swipe to see my crazy past year. The last couple of days here have been so emotional for me when I look back on everything that has happened to me this past year. From being on a poster at WrestleMania, having a match with one of my best friends and favorite dance partners, Trinity Fatu.
Oh, God.
That's Naomi. At WrestleMania.
I know, but now she's using wrestling terminology. One of my dance partners.
Filming the craziest reality show reboot for Viacom's Surreal Life, living in the house with iconic legends. At Tamara Braxton, thank you for helping me deal with my mental health and anxiety. Can't believe I booked 2 movies in the past 6 months.
I can't either.
On my birthday, I was filming an action movie where I
wonder which one she went to see.
On my birthday, I was filming an action movie where I play an assassin for Paramount Plus, where I was blowing up cars and kicking strong men's asses. Talk about a complete 180 from WWE, only wanting me to wear pink, have blonde hair, and have my ass kicked. I had the most amazing time with my sister and family this past year because I finally had some free time and wasn't on the road with WWE 300 days a year.
Oh my God, she was on the road 300 whole days. That means you got 65 off, you lunatic. It's a wrestling business.
She tagged Natty Neidhart, TJ Wilson, and Liv Morgan, I believe. Thank you for believing in me when I had no confidence left. On my birthday, I was able to film and celebrate being alive and another healthy year. And healthy another year. I read it the right way. She wrote it the wrong way. And healthy another year. Oh no, she wrote it the right way. On my birthday, I was able to film and celebrate being alive and healthy another year with actors that I have looked up to for years. I'm so beyond grateful. I can't believe how far my life has come in a year and how brainwashed I was from the toxic environment that I had worked in for 8 years. I allowed it to define my identity and self-worth. Change can be hard, friends, but let me tell you, if you keep pushing forward, no matter what, if you refuse to have one human's opinion define your destiny, if you refuse to be put in a box by a corporation or society, and you keep the blinders on and walk by faith,
good Lord,
then your life will become more than your wildest dreams. What the fuck does that even mean? More than your wildest dreams. Have the audacity to chase the big dreams. Chase them passionately. Have an undeniable work ethic. Be teachable. Did Cody write this? Take calculated risk.
I don't know, but did she workshop it?
Be brave. Take responsibility when wrong. It's okay to make mistakes, as long as we learn. To all my friends in show business and wrestling, remember, we are playing make-believe.
Oh, fuck.
So have fun. Be kind. Forgive. Always walk in love. And then there's a picture of her husband Miro hugging her, and she's showing off that ass.
It's all make-believe. Here's the fucking thing. I've never met this woman. Don't want to. Don't have any personal opinion, positive or negative, based on any interaction, except, again, it's another goof that has somehow been allowed to get in the wrestling business that instead of being thankful that she was ever on television, is now always brainwashed. It's so toxic, but now I get to do reality TV and all this, and I'm acting and blah, blah, blah. Look, same thing as the Bellas, same thing. It was Big Swole and AEW, and sometimes it's the guys, although the women seem to want to run their pie holes a little bit more these days. But it's always one of the lower level people, whether male or female, that's lucky to have ever been in the show to begin with, that then leaves and goes, oh gosh, it was so horrible, and blah, blah, blah. Brian, where's the list of great Lana promos? Where's the list of great Lana matches? Where's the list of great Lana contributions to the professional wrestling industry? I'm not saying that it's a walk in the park to work for the WWE. Quite the opposite. I'm saying somebody that's qualified to be in the wrestling business, that didn't get their job from a lingerie catalog and John Laurinaitis's weird fucking fantasies, or didn't get their job from being on outlaw shows and a billionaire picks them up and gives them more money than they've ever seen, or somebody that didn't get into wrestling just because they want to do action movies and reality TV and be on the fucking Surreal Life like that's something to brag about. Another example of somebody got in a wrestling business somehow, didn't probably ever understand it. And now that they're out of it and they've used it to move on to do something else where they can call attention to themselves on TV, it's such horrible things in the wrestling business. They may be. You're not one of the people qualified to say that. What talent does Lana have that would otherwise have gotten her on television?
Well, I believe she has done some acting, and she's a dancer. She's done some dancing stuff, and acting and dancing together.
Well, good. Then why don't she act and dance somewhere else and not get in the... If she's not meaning to be in the wrestling business, don't get in the wrestling business. I get just a taint tickle out of all these people that just bop in and waste everybody's time for 3 or 4 years and then decide, I don't want to be in wrestling. I want to do something else. Well, then why'd you waste all our fucking time? Jesus Christ.
I want to commend Lana for being the first person brave enough to speak out about the brainwashing that we've all presumed was happening over there. I knew it. Explains a lot from certain people.
Well, then she ought to do something about it.
How did you escape brainwashing?
They didn't brainwash me. They weren't going to get a brush near me or any soap or anything like that. My brain was fine like it was. No liquid detergent, no lye soap, no brushes or vacuums. My brain was dirty and I liked it that way. I'm a man with a dirty mind.
But what if that had not been the case? What if they had successfully brainwashed Jim Cornette, and then eventually, once you got back to Louisville, you realized what went on, and you wanted revenge?
Off the bonds and the shackles of tyranny that they had laid upon me, and I've got a new brain
that
right. Wasn't washed.
And you're ready to make the people who brainwashed you be responsible for this heinous act.
I gotta call a lawyer, don't I?
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
Oh, yes, man with itchy trigger finger. I was going for, yes, you need to call a lawyer. And then I was going to say, well, I know who, but nevertheless, the music has played, and that indicates to everybody that newlawoffice.com, the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen P. New at 888-692-8084 is in the house. And I'll tell you another thing. You don't have to worry about Stephen being brainwashed. No, sir. He's had the finest doctors in America examine his head. They found nothing. He is ready.
Well, no, don't say that. He's an incredibly bright man. Don't say they found nothing. Well, of course
he's bright. They found nothing wrong, is what I'm saying. The doctors, they're looking for wrong things. They found nothing wrong,
yes.
He was completely cleared of having anything in his head.
No, he has plenty in his head. There's nothing wrong with what's in his head.
But it's all supposed to be there.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing that needs to be taken out. But folks, regardless of what you've got in your head, you need something in your pocket, and that's money. And that's what Stephen P. New can get you if you have been cheated, lied to, harmed, or in other ways been treated poorly by any major corporation or any well-heeled individual that might come along that we can make a pigeon and get something out of one way or another, folks.
Well, no, don't say that. Don't say that either.
Steve P. New is going to get you paid one way or another. You'll think that your fucking ass is an ATM the way that the $20 bills are going to be falling out of it. You're literally going to be losing. Gold coins are going to be dropping out of people's uteruses and everything when they get involved with Stephen P. New. And, of course, the big news now is that the Johnson & Johnson Shell Corporation that they set up to pawn off the asbestos-ridden talcum powder business onto is trying to file bankruptcy to get out of judgments. But we're smart to that, and Stephen P. New and his cohorts are going to be cracking down on that. They can crack down on anyone that's cracked you up, whether it be poisonous materials and cancer-causing agents or illegalities in business dealings or whatever the case may be. If you feel like that you have no choice but to seek legal recourse Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084 is the man for you. The consigliere of the cult of Cornette.
That's right. We'll have a little bit more about him later before we wrap things up, but let's get a few more questions in here before the watch-along, Jim. This one, sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from the love child of Jimmy Hart, Outback, Australia.
What?
That's apparently his name, the love child of Jimmy Hart from Outback, Australia.
Okay.
Does the nom de plume big ever work? You have your big cat Ernie Ladd, big Van Vader, big Russ McCullough, big Scott Hall as examples. From an insider perspective,
let's not forget about Big Bill Dromo.
Why would you add the word big to your wrestling nom de plume? Surely it's obvious to the audience that you're big when you walk out. I mean, did anyone see Ernie Ladd and think, I wonder if he's a big guy? What is honestly the point of telling people you're a big man? I never heard this question asked like this. As
here comes
big
Ernie Ladd. Here comes Big Ernie Ladd. Nobody ever said, here comes Big Andre the Giant. I guess that would be redundant.
That's right.
Redundancy repeated redundantly. Well, I mean, there's bigs. There have been bigs in all sports. There have been bigs in boxing and bigs in football and bigs in wrestling. And it's one of those things. And then you get the other side of the coin where you remember Plowboy Frazier, sometimes he'd wrestle as Tiny Frazier because the bigger you are, then the more obvious it is that you'd be nicknamed Tiny. And that was a big thing. Remember at one point, was Sky High Lee, did he worked as Tiny something at one time or another?
I'm not sure, but what I was going to say is, the one that to me was always, how do you handle this? This can't be the right way. Dr. Big Bill Miller. The doctor before the big is such an interesting move. Not big, Dr. Bill Miller. Dr. Big Bill Miller.
Well, but you see, here's the thing now. A big Dr. Bill Miller sounds a little odd, but Dr. Big Bill Miller. And he was Big Bill Miller before people knew that he was an actual doctor of veterinary medicine. And then as he began transitioning from wrestling to full-time veterinary work, jolly jokers like Sam Miniker, especially in Indianapolis, started calling him Dr. Big Bill Miller. And that, you're right, that was one of those seemed like it would be enough. The other one should go. But for every big, you've got a tiny. Remember John Harris, Little John? He was 7'7", but he was Little John. He could have been Big John, but Big John had already been taken by Big Bad John.
Big John Stud worked well.
Big John Stud worked well because he was big, he was stud, he was a John.
Is that why it worked well?
He was big, he was a stud, and he was a John. Big Bad John, that worked as a heel, but when he switched babyface, he just became Big John. He took the bad out. And then in 1976, he became Big John, the Bicentennial Baby.
That's what I was going to say. When he was the Bicentennial Baby, did they call him Big Bad John?
No, he became Big John.
Any other bigs?
Well, there was that friend of Kevin Dunn's that everybody thought was actually a wrestler named Big, but he was just an out-of-work dipshit with a big head from fucking Baltimore that Kevin Dunn gave a job to. And then he was on Tough Enough, people thought he was a wrestler. But he's the only person that I've ever heard of just called Big, not Big something, but just Big.
Let's move on with the show here, Jim. Another question. This one sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Charlie in Starkville, Mississippi. Hi, Jim. Montez Ford recently said he was brought to tears when The Rock predicted he will be a future world champion. What are your thoughts on The Rock's prediction and on Ford's reaction?
Well, The Rock is a nice guy, and I'm sure that this is a very nice young man. He's a member of the Street Profits with the mustache, right?
He's the skinny one who jumps really high.
Yes. I mean, you know, well, what's The Rock gonna say? No, he's a shits. He ought to be banned forever. Rock's not that kind of guy. No, Montez Ford's not ever going to be the world champion. It's nice of Rock to say that. Do you see it? Well, I'm not seeing it.
Well, let's be very honest. What standard of world champion are we looking at?
Well, I mean, world champion
nowadays, where everyone gets a turn?
WWF, maybe, but he's not going to be the world champion of the WWF.
I won't say that. I think very often in WWF, either everybody gets a turn if you stay there long enough, or if he breaks out from that tag team at some point in the next few years. I don't think it's outrageous to say what it's more likely to happen in WWE than actually outside of WWE, I think.
Well, I ain't seeing it. As for him breaking down into tears, a handshake, a hug, a thank you card, a gift basket, being proud and maybe getting a few goosebumps but breaking down into tears. It's not even the guy that can make you the world champion saying that. It's a very accomplished, biggest box office attraction in the world type of guy, but to cry over it, I don't, was he speaking figuratively? Oh, it broke me down into tears, but he didn't really cry, did he? Just for a compliment?
I think he was, I don't know how you want to define crying, if it's a few tears, if you tear up, or it's, whimpering. But he said it. It's his words. According to Charlie from Starkville, Mississippi.
Well, we've got to vet these things these days. I know Charlie might be a little bit more correct and proper than some of the people that send these things in, but we have to check these days anyway after the Bret Hart clip. But I'm sorry, I don't see Montez Ford being a world champion of any major wrestling organization, and I don't see how a grown man can break into tears over a compliment no matter who it's from. That's just me.
Well, a grown man could break into tears if they knew they had to get into the ring with the Steiner brothers, Jim.
Now that's something you might cry about.
You don't have a sound effect?
Hold on, let me look. Let me see here. Hold on here a second. No, that's not right.
That's not it. Well, maybe.
I don't see any. No. Hold on. Wait a minute. I got to go over here. Oh. There we go.
Well, Jim, it is time now for another much-anticipated watch-along, and this one is an interesting one. Again, we're talking the Steiner brothers today, and babyface versus babyface matches last week. From Super Brawl 1, May 19th, 1991, St. Petersburg, Florida, the World Tag Team Champions of WCW and the IWGP Tag Team Champions, the Steiner brothers, versus Sting and Lex Luger. And just to set this up in perspective, Jim, this is a few months after you had left, or actually I guess 6 months after you had left WCW, and Dusty Rhodes had just returned as the booker 4 months before this.
And the Steiners had defeated the Midnight Express for the U.S. Tag Team title in August 1990 at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. And they were the U.S. Tag Team champions. Then they were also making shots, as you mentioned, in Japan, and they were the IWGP Tag Team champions for New Japan. And then they beat the Freebirds, the great value, dollar store Freebirds, for the World Tag Team title shortly before this, and it vacated the U.S. Tag Team belts because they had too many damn titles. And this is the Tag Team title match on Super Brawl here underneath the legendary and completely non-drawing Ric Flair versus Tatsumi Fujinami match for the world title, because they were putting a lot of stock in that New Japan relationship, which would, how long was it before that went to hell over all of the various stupid wrestling business practices that TBS was doing at that point in time?
They actually were able to maintain a really good relationship with New Japan going forward. New Japan relationship happened as a result of them blowing it with the All Japan relationship when Giant Baba, who took things very seriously, was upset that, I guess, a capture led to a match not taking place.
Kidnapping. But anyway, we've talked about that. But the point is, so now it's New Japan. And yes, they did go for a while because that's where Bischoff stole the idea for the invasion. But nevertheless, I have not seen this match that we're about to watch since it actually happened. That's at the point where I was setting up Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I was still keeping an eye on WCW and their events because there were numerous talents that I wanted from WCW for Smoky Mountain Wrestling that I knew I was at some point probably going to be able to get. Tracy Smothers was in the opening match on this pay-per-view. And there were others, so I was keeping an eye on it. But once I watched it, we weren't on it, so I didn't watch it again. So this is going to be interesting for me, too, after 31 years.
Well, a few notes. Of course, when you and I watch it here, we're going to have the sound down. But if you're watching at home, you can have the sound up a little bit and hear some of the crowd noise. The crowd is so into this match. It's a really cool match to hear the crowd for. Jim,
and Dusty is on color here, is he not?
It is Dusty and Jim Ross, and I want to say for everyone who thinks Jim Ross is the greatest because of the Attitude Era, go back and watch a match like this. Because this is when Jim Ross treated it like he was covering a big sporting event, and it's amazing. This is the best Jim Ross. Not necessarily this match, but this period. 86 to 92. That's the best Jim Ross stuff.
Yeah, he was to wrestling what John Madden was to football or Howard Cosell was to boxing. He was the recognized sports voice rather than a salesman or a shill or whatever, and he called it like a sporting event, as you said, and that's why he got over. And then later on, the Attitude Era, he could throw the showbiz in because he already had the credibility with the fans as an announcer of legitimate shit. If that makes any sense to people now these days.
Yeah, this is before they put a cowboy hat on his head. He was just on top of his game here. Dusty's on commentary. Dusty's the booker. The card, Jim, in St. Petersburg.
I'm almost glad because if I'd have known at the end of October that Dusty would be back as booker by January, we might not have walked out. And then actually, I think most of the rest of my life would have been fucked up. Because we'd have still been there waiting for Dusty to have any pull, and he didn't have the pull either over the TBS executives, and I wouldn't have done Smoky Mountain or a lot of other things I wanted to do.
Look at it another way. If you had hung on, maybe you would have had a problem being on this card. Let's quickly just go over the lineup this night, Jim, because you had to sit through a lot to get to the good stuff. Not televised, the opening match, the mighty Thor defeated El Cubano.
Wait a minute. Who was Thor?
I'm not sure.
Was that Kevin Kelly Nails?
I'm not sure. I'm sure one of my Florida friends will be able to let me know, but I'm not sure. Match 2. For the U.S. Tag Team titles, the Fabulous Freebirds of Hayes and Garvin defeated the Young Pistols, Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong. Match 3. Dan Spivey defeated Ricky Morton. 3 minutes, 11 seconds.
God, what an insult.
Match 4. The returning Nikita Koloff defeated Tommy Rich. 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Match 5. Dustin Rhodes defeated Terrence Taylor with Alexandra York and Mr. Hughes. That was 8 minutes and 5 seconds. And then in a grudge match, Big Josh defeated Black Bart in 3 minutes and 46 seconds.
Oh, my God. Yeah, remember, Ole had been there for a while at that point, and there were still some of Ole's holdovers still there.
Well, Ole does not get the blame for this next one. In his debut, I believe it's his debut, Oz, with the Great Wizard, defeated Tim Parker in 26 seconds.
Remember, and the Wizard was Kevin Sullivan, right?
That's right.
And that's Herd was still there, and they had the Turner Classic Movie fucking library, and they wanted tie-ins. Oz.
Barry Windham defeated Brian Pillman in a taped fist match, 6 minutes, 8 seconds. And then, I remember this one, in a stretcher match, El Gigante defeated Sid Vicious.
Oh my God! That's the one where Sid just sat down on the stretcher and stretched out so they could wheel him to the back and then got up and walked off of it,
walked off. And he's walked right into the WWF.
Yeah, and fuck you, I'm done, and I'm bypassing softball this year and going straight to work for Vince. Fuck you, put me in a stretcher match. That was brutal.
Yeah, not good.
That was one of the more unprofessional things that happened back then.
The next match is like one of those I wish there was more done for this feud, because they are one of the most underrated tag teams. Ron Simmons defeated Butch Reed in a steel cage match, 9 minutes and 39 seconds. I wish more had been done for a Ron Simmons-Butch Reed feud after that run they had.
Yeah, because the doom was over. It was a good team. Butch had really helped Ron along because Ron was the green one at that point. But then together, Jim Ross had the idea that they could recreate the violence level of Junkyard Dog and Butch Reed in Mid-South, 6-7 years beforehand in the ghetto street fight matches and everything. But this was 91, TBS, the business, WCW's business was in the tank. Herd was still there. We've just heard some of those matches on this card, and that whole thing just got lost in the shuffle.
The next match is the tag team match we're going to do a watch-along for, so I'll save that. But again, I said you had to sit through a lot to get to the good stuff. After the tag team match, for the WCW TV title, Bobby Eaton defeated Arn Anderson to win the title.
Yeah, that was a big deal that a lot of people remembered. Obviously, since Dusty was back, he was trying to rehabilitate Bobby after Stan and I had left. And that was the first step in doing that. You know, Bobby beating Arn. They were close personal friends, so they had a great match with each other. Arn didn't have any problem with putting him over. Bobby had never been featured in that company as a single before, so now he's the TV champion. It wouldn't be long until he was in the Dangerous Alliance and or teaming with Arn and all the stuff he did in the first part of the 90s. Dusty was a big part of that because he always wanted to feature Bobby because why wouldn't you? He's the best wrestler in the fucking world.
And then the final match, Ric Flair, WCW World Champion, defeated Tatsumi Fujinami, the NWA World Champion, in a confusing singles match which no one can explain to this day.
And they had, you know, again, that's where they had problems with the NWA title and the WCW title and who was going to hold what. And the NWA later on, by 94, they'd split off over the whole thing with the international title and world title and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, this was, again, to facilitate the New Japan relationship. And Fujinami was one of the all-time Japanese greats. And I loved Dragon Fujinami, Rocket Fujinami, the posters. He was everywhere in the late 70s and 80s. But nobody in America gave a shit. This was not a pay-per-view main event that was going to sell any pay-per-views whatsoever past the hardcore audience, which was minute at the time compared to because now it's everybody. The whole audience is the hardcore audience.
Yeah, the hardcore audience on this show is ringside because it's Jeff Baldwin and all those guys sitting ringside. They were sitting in the first row and there aren't too many rows after that. Yeah. I think they got 6,000 in the building, according to Wikipedia here.
Well, but I mean, as far as being a pay-per-view attraction, though, you know, Flair and Fujinami and the confusing build and the lack of Fujinami being any kind of a name in America, 91 was a terrible string of pay-per-views for WCW business-wise, and this was one of them.
And again, for those who go back and watch the rest of this card, May 19th, 1991, this is also the final Ric Flair singles main event in WCW, in the NWA, whatever you want to call it, before he would go to the World Wrestling Federation that summer.
Good Lord. You mentioned Sid walking out. We had just left. Flair's going to leave shortly. The Road Warriors had gone the previous late spring. We've talked about the Horseman, you know, attempted reunion with Tully and Arn, and he fucked Tully.
Terry Funk, Rick Steamboat. I mean, there's so many people that were there and gone.
He had, by the time that he quit, about a year after this, or maybe not even.
Not even.
He had run off almost every piece of talent that meant anything to the WCW audience. They just didn't want to be around him. Anyway.
Well,
but we got one match out of this.
Well, that's actually part of the story here. The talent he didn't run off, the talent he took care of in a lot of ways during these years, were Sting, Lex Luger, and the Steiner Brothers, who a lot of people thought were the future of WCW, maybe even the future of wrestling. And that's kind of how it sets up this match. Top tag team of the era, top tag team of the post-Road Warriors WCW era. And Sting, who was the heir apparent for a while. This is before he gets that second title run after he beats Luger the next year. And Luger, who's still a babyface, always been presented as a top guy. 4 top guys, 4 top babyfaces. Everyone knows they're the future of the company at that time.
And that's pretty much what the interest was going into this match and what's going to happen.
Well, let's find out. And of course, on Peacock, the very, very popular streaming channel that many people seem to have, you want to go to Super Brawl under WCW pay-per-view events. You can look for Super Brawl 1991 or perhaps Season 1, Episode 1 of Super Brawl 1. The time we are looking for is 1 hour, 42 minutes, 49 seconds into Super Brawl 1. 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 49 seconds into Super Brawl 1. Jim, are you ready on your end?
I am ready.
Okay, with that said, we will do what we have commonly done. I will do a countdown. I'll say press play now, and you know what to do. I'm not going to repeat the whole song and dance this week.
The W of now is when we hit play.
That's right, the ow of now, as we say it here. 142.49 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now. And here we are, Super Brawl in St. Petersburg.
And there's the beautiful banner and drawing back over the dimly lit arena to show that there's not a lot of people there. I hated that ramp also. Look at the ramp. Try to figure out if you're working around ringside and that giant ramp is on one side, it blocks everything off. You can't run around. You can't do spots. There's some of the action figures, the early 90s action figures. But here comes the aforementioned baby faces of the hour, Lex Luger and Sting. Sting's shit looked great. Luger had a great body. He didn't need to wear robes. And the power. We all hated that shit too when they started doing pyro. It wasn't like Vince's. It's like 4th of July picnic fireworks. It just sting you and get in your eyes.
I always hated the crooked WCW at the back of the stage that they had for a few years there. Didn't make any sense to me why that would be the design on it.
Pee Wee Anderson, the referee. I keep thinking in some of these crowd shots, we're going to see a future world champion holding one of these goofy fan signs. Yeah, the crooked WCW. It was a little bit off kilter. Rick looks like he's fucking thrilled. And these aren't even game faces. These are sort of like nobody was really happy at this point in time. So they're kind of coming out like, is this going to be all right or not? What the fuck? They probably been watching the rest of the show and they're depressed. See, that ring takes up, or the ramp takes up the whole one side of the ring.
Who was the biggest proponent for the ramp?
Well, I've heard, and all of the TV department saw that on a WWF show and said, we've got to do that to look like Vince. Everything they did was to imitate in some fashion what the WWF was doing. So the ramp came in late 1990 on the pay-per-views, and then it fucked up everybody's timing and shit, etc. Nevertheless, look at these guys. One of these guys is as big as any 3 modern professional wrestlers, and we wonder why nobody's scared of the boys anymore.
And this is right around the period of time, Jim, where everyone was buzzing that Scott Steiner was the future world champion.
Yeah, because he had come in
89.
Early part of 89. This is about a year and a half. He was really progressing. And look at that tie-up. Automatically, it's 2 big grown fucking men. And when I'm talking about watch Luger for technique, you know we've lost something over the years. Because if I'd have said 30 years ago in the locker room, hey, let's go out and watch Lex Luger's match for technique, it would have got a round of fucking laughter. But now, with modern eyes, if we had Lex Luger in this condition at that point in his life today, he'd be the biggest star in the wrestling business and one of the best workers. And boom, and that was a shitty arm drag because they're trying to have, this may be the first babyface match that the Steiner brothers had. And I don't know that Lex or Sting would have had too many. So they're trying to wrestle cleanly and not be the first one to cheat. And you see, Rick knows how to wrestle. He took Luger down. That looked good, but the fucking arm drag, how many arm drags had Luger thrown? How many arm drags had Steiner taken? This is a departure for some of them stylistically. But again, Rick's got the offbeat one color boot and one the other color boot and the goofy tights and the amateur headgear and the whole 9 yards. And he's a gimmick, but he's a real gimmick that the people took to. They could believe him. He was goofy because he was goofy as a pet coon in real life. And then Scotty comes along, and he's the all-American boy with that physique. And look at, he's a gorgeous-looking guy. Age and the superstar Billy Graham gimmick covered up the fact that he used to be a little bit of a teen heartthrob there. But again, this match is a departure for the guys, and it's a departure for the fans. You can see they don't know at first. Nobody's cheering and nobody's booing because that's what I've told you about babyface matches. In this era, look at that, the bump off that tackle because Luger's the bigger guy and Steiner can take shit like that. But now, obviously, Steiner's going to get, well, maybe not. Power slam. I thought Steiner was going to get a chance to shine. Where I was going with that was that the fans don't want to boo a babyface, but they don't want to cheer a babyface that's doing something to another babyface. Now Steiner gets his chance to shine. And near 300-pound Lex Luger and the fucking German like that and a clothesline, boom, everybody's sticking with their, now the people are starting a little clap. Look at Pee Wee hot dogging. Look like Brian Hildebrand doing that. But again, the people, they didn't see baby faces against baby faces, and they didn't know what to make of it. They didn't want to cheer against any of them. But gradually, as most of these matches go on, people start enjoying it and or picking a fucking favorite. Boom, but this is just smash mouth bullshit. Yeah. Smash mouth stuff, clotheslines, fucking suplexes. That's what all of these guys were known for. It wasn't like Steamboat going to go out with Briscoe and have scientific wrestling. They're doing their shit, and the people are starting to react because now, oh, shit, and look at, see what I'm talking about, Braun Steiner?
Yeah.
The way he takes the out-of-control bumps, Rick did the same thing. And here comes Sting now with a dive that actually made sense. I'll knock this motherfucker out. And he didn't stand there for 3 years waiting on him. But Rick would take those out-of-control bumps where he was in control, but it didn't look like it. And he was almost invulnerable. Boom, there's Stinger's face plant. And Steiner says, oof, 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 oof. Now we're just getting in a contest of how hard can we hit each other and et cetera, and pop right back up, which might get over today. But Jesus Christ, he almost lost him early. So that's it. With Sting, he was kind of making that up as he went along because he'd never done that before. Going for the Stinger splash, and boom, Steiner moves. Nobody's still cheating.
Here we go.
And boom, and a big tag, and here comes Scotty. Not a hot tag because they hadn't gotten heat on Sting because they're baby faces. But look at that intensity. And the way Scott moves around in that face, he's like, I don't care who these guys are. Me and my brother are going to win this thing. And see what I'm talking about? He's strong enough to pick people up and turn them and put them down. And you can see so much of Braun Breaker or Braun Steiner or whatever in both of these guys, the way that he bumps, the way that he has the power to move people in the direction he wants them to. And now as we start seeing the big bumps and the big moves come out, people are starting to go, holy shit. And again, we go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just also going to say, for everyone who complains about Luger, look at how hard he works with his friends.
Yes. Well, and remember, he was a good heel when they switched him heel there, and then they switched him back babyface when Sting had got hurt in 90. But then he had another good little heel run, too. He just, his body started wearing down, and the out of the ring stuff started getting to him in the late 90s. Look at a belly-to-belly overhead off the ropes. And again, that was safe because he's strong enough to put you where you need to be. And this is Scotty had been working, he broke in 86 sometime in Michigan and then went to Memphis and then came here. So he only had, these fucking guys, they could take those bumps and they were in such shape and they were so indestructible. And it was just different than what a lot of other people were doing. That suplex could have been a little flatter package. They went the clump bump. But again.
Hey, there's Pete Letterberg.
Oh, there he is. I saw him. Drop behind. That wasn't what it was supposed to be, but he's strong enough to make it work. Let's try one again. Here we go. They're working hard. Power slam. Yeah. And again, if there was a heel in this equation, the place would be coming unglued, but they're still into it, but they're not wishing ill on anyone. They're cheering the activity. Yeah, that didn't work. But they're trying, think about this. They're trying to come up, especially Luger and Sting, who'd worked against heels all that time. And all they had to do is press slam, clothesline, stinger splash, whatever. They're trying to do wrestling moves because they're working with baby faces and they're not supposed to cheat. And there was a blind tag from Scott to Rick. Lex didn't see it, but he'll see that. Boom, that bulldog. See, that's when Rick started doing that. They said, well, what about if Scott picks him up on his shoulders? I'd do it off the top. I wish I could go back and watch Pee-wee's reaction to that. And I'm glad that Sting actually got there. But see, there was no tag. So fucking Pee-wee said, get back out, Sting, and made a big deal out of it. But Rick's mad. Now tempers are going to flare a bit amongst these friends and baby faces. Now we're fighting. Fucking drop kick me from behind, motherfucker. At least there's a little reason to get a little rougher. Look at Rick Steiner hit the ropes and boom, double knockout. Doesn't it remind you of Braun Steiner?
Yeah, a lot of this reminds me of him.
It's freaky, especially if you were there in person to see Rick when he first started. I was. It's odd. It's so eerie. And now neither one knows how to do the heel part of a hot tag, so this is probably going to be simultaneous because each baby face is waiting for the heel to try to stop him. There's no heel. So here we go. Boom. Cold, but at least we get it going. And boom. And look, God damn it. No. See that they're trying, but this is not their wheelhouse, is this babyface wrestling matches. They've not done it, but at least nobody's getting hurt. Scott was expecting an uppercut and got a gut shot there. Fuck you, no backdrop. And obviously they're calling this as they go because that's what we did back then. And also neither one of these guys was going to remember all this shit ahead of time. But that was honestly impressive and not something that I would have let Sting do. Is that the only time you've ever seen him do a tombstone?
That's the only time I remember it.
Yeah. And with Scotty at 260 or 70 and Sting at 230 or 40, I'm not sure I would have done that. Anyway, here we go. Poor Pee-wee. He's botched up in the middle of them. Down on the floor he goes, and they're pissed on the floor. And here goes Stinger to try to get this thing put away. And again, nobody has tried to injure anybody. Nobody's tried to hurt anybody. Nobody's tried to end anybody's career because they're wrestlers and they're athletes, but they're not heels. But there's Nikita, who's just come back, and boom. I got to be honest with you. I think that may have been a shove Luger out of the way because Nikita was coming anyway. It'd be like, get out of the way. But anyway, boom. That's how you get out of it. The returning heel that's going to be programmed with Sting knocks Sting out with his chain because there's been ill will amongst them in the past. And the Steiners retain even though they had nothing to do with it. And the reason I say I think they may have said, get the fuck out of the way, Lex, is because he didn't know Nikita was coming.
I think it was part of the story that he was going after Luger because of their history, and that's how Sting got mixed up with Nikita all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah, well, Sting had history with Nikita, too.
And by the way, good job, Doug Dillinger. Standing and doing nothing.
There's Jackie Crockett's the cameraman over on the other side in the shorts. Right behind them all. But anyway, see now, tempers flared. There's Tony, what he used to look like. Tempers flared. But and there goes Sting after Nikita. In the end, the baby faces are all together wondering what happened, and we wanted to win this thing honestly, and now boom, and now here comes Sting and Nikita in the back. And you were right. He was going after Luger from behind, and they shoved Luger out of the way, but he got Sting anyway. And this, golly, I bet you it had been probably 6 months since we had seen two guys fight out in the back of the fucking arena and out in the parking lot, which is why that everybody remembered this happened, and they played it back on TV the next week, and everybody was all verklempt over this shocking occurrence because they never saw this shit happen like that. I think we're pausing now, right?
Oh, you can keep playing if you want. I'm having a good time. There's Dusty and Jim Ross at ringside.
But again, think about it. How often did you, once, twice a year, did you see somebody fight in a parking lot on one of the shows? And you remembered it.
It didn't happen too often. Even WCW, which kind of hot-shotted it for a brief time, you remembered every time it happened, like the Cactus Jack versus Van Hammer. Heavy metal Van Hammer match. Like, I remember that one. But yeah, the next match on the show is Arn versus Bobby.
Well, we'll have to come back and do it on another program.
All right, that's a commitment.
Well, let's do it then.
All right.
After next weekend, after Action Figure Armageddon and WrestleMania comes along for the ride, then we'll do Bobby and Arn for the TV title.
And with that, the drive-thru is closed. Damn it. And Leora, I hope you and your family have a happy Passover. But Jim, of course, the drive-thru returns next week wherever you find your favorite podcast, and the Jim Cornette Experience debuts this weekend wherever you find your favorite podcast. Remember, we're going to be reviewing a whole lot of stuff.
Oh.
So be prepared wherever you find your favorite podcast. Go through the archives today. Hear old WrestleMania reviews by becoming a patron. Patreon.com/Cornette. For $5 a month, you get access to the archive from the beginning in 2013. Patreon.com/Cornette. Don't forget to subscribe to the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel for official, well, I said official already, but for exclusive Travis Heckel artwork on full episodes, clips of episodes, omnibus collections. If you enjoy something on this show and you want to share it, that's the place to go. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Subscribe today. You can follow Jim on Twitter at @TheJimCornette. You can follow me on Twitter at GreatBrianLast. You can hear me on the 605 Superpodcast at 605pod.com, or available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Don't forget about Cornette's Collectibles, powered by the Featherbottoms at JimCornette.com. What do you want to say, Jim?
That's right. The feather bottoms are power bottoms, and they are powering this thing. And I'm telling you what.
That's not what I meant.
That's exactly what you said. And I'll tell you what, Action Figure Armageddon starts Saturday, April 2nd at noon Eastern at JimCornette.com. The Bloody Variant, 1,200 autographed figures available. The Commentator play set, 1,500 autographed play sets available, brand new. Get them while they're hot, JimCornette.com. The feather bottoms are powering out of this again.
At JimCornette.com. Of course, the drive-thru is brought to you by the law office of Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084. Get even with Stephen at newlawoffice.com. But until next week on the drive-thru, and this weekend on The Experience, for Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. Tally-ho!